And we are live. I'm Anthony Dream Johnson, founder and CEO of 21 Studios, broadcasting live from Orlando, Florida at 21 Studios Global Command. Today I'm joined by the Redman Group, including Rollo Tomasi from the Rational Mail.
And we are live. I'm Anthony Dream Johnson, founder and CEO.
Whoa, shit. The hell's going on with that? Sorry, I had some feedback, guys. Anyway, Rollo Tomasi from the Rational Mail, Ryan Stone from Married Red Pill, Donovan Sharpe from the Sharpe Reality, and Black Label Logic from blacklabellogic.com, also known as Carl or Carlos. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hell yeah.
Once again.
Yep. So what do you guys have going on? Well, I'll kick it off actually, the roundtable. We launched tickets to alumni the other day from the 21 convention. So they have first access to tickets to the 21 convention 2018 going on this October in Florida. That's been a big deal. It's been sucking up a lot of time and attention, but it's been really fun and exciting to get those out to the guys. Rollo?
Oh gosh, what haven't I been doing? I've got like real life things that I'm doing right now. As you guys know, but nobody else knows, I just closed on a property in Florida. So I'm going to be spending some time there and spending some time here in Nevada as well. So I'm sort of like sifting things out and deciding what needs to go to Florida and what doesn't. Not this week, but the next week, I'm going to be driving across the country with a big giant truck and carrying a bunch of stuff out there. So it's quite possible that not next weekend, but the weekend after, I'll be with you, Anthony. We'll be in studio together. We can work it out there.
Yeah.
And then it's still on the books, but I'm going to make the announcement right now. Next week, when I am in Florida, or the week after, the week of May 24th, which is, I believe, Thursday, I will be going on live with Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh, sweet.
What? Wow. That is big time. Holy shit,
Yeah,
man.
in studio, because his studio, he's got this new, I don't know if you guys know, he's got this new YouTube channel that he's sort of decided he wants to be a pundit of some sorts on YouTube. And I kind of like it. It's actually kind of an interesting show. It's all, for the most part, it's subscription, but there's stuff that he allows for free. And then, of course, you know me, it's like I'm always going to push for free stuff. So hopefully I won't have to be entirely behind a paywall. But he does clips that are about 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour long, depending on the topic. Since I'm making the trip out there, I think he and I are probably going to spend a little bit more time than he would, with a normal guest. Anthony already knows this, but back in October, right after, almost a week after the 21 convention, we went to go see, what was it, Milo and
Roger Stone.
Roger Stone, yeah, Roger Stone, and just went to go see them do their bit. They're like going around the country, kind of talking and stuff like that. And I know people have sort of mixed opinions about Milo. The thing about Milo is that like he and I used to talk quite a bit back in the day before he was Milo Yiannopoulos. It's like back when he had a Twitter account and he used to go by Nero was his name. Yeah. So like he and I have, whenever he was talking about, when he was, I guess he was writing stories for Breitbart at the time, he would hit me up for information about like intergender dynamics and red pill stuff back then. And he moved on from that. Obviously he does more of a political side of things, but he is he's still interested in men's issues, and of course he's famous for saying for the hashtag feminism is cancer. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Like I said, back in October, Anthony could probably tell a story better than I can, because I just went in there and just talked to the guy. But there's a lot of stuff that went down, and we got in there, and it was like one mafia meeting the other mafia.
Yeah, it was a hell of a night.
Yeah,
we had a couple other speakers with us too from the convention.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that's what I'm gearing up for right now. I'm not really sure what the topics of discussion are going to be. I mean, it could be anything, right? Considering all the things that are going on with incels, and I think the red pill from an intersexual dynamics perspective is really starting to get a little bit more bad press, I think, but at least it's getting some press. So we'll see what happens.
Milo's show too will probably be your biggest media appearance ever, right?
I should think so. There's been some talk about, between myself and other parties about maybe getting on with Tucker Carlson, because he's got that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Going on right now. So if I can get my foot in the door with Tucker Carlson, even if it's just for like a 15-minute spot, it would be kind of cool. And I want to get out there, and I really want to. I want to make red pill like the red pill that we talk about. I want it to be a little bit more specific to intersexual dynamics. And I'm in a way, I'm kind of like kryptonite to some of these guys because they still cling to that old blue pill. They want to appease women. They still have women on the collective pedestal, and it's like the sisterhood pedestal. And so finding the right venue to get in there. I mean, Milo would be great. I mean, I don't have to worry, about Milo. He understands pretty much the whole thing. But, getting on with Tucker Carlson, Tucker's interesting because I think he has sort of shifted gears when it's red pill. Pat and I, we've been talking about this guy. I think we were talking about it on the radio show. When he was on Fox and Friends, he did an interview with Dr. Helen Smith.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about, the war on marriage or the boycott of marriage. And he was very, very blue pill tradcon, like, well, men should man up and they should get married and they need to take on responsibility. And he was very, pro conservative traditional masculinity kind of guy. And now he's really shifted gears, at least in 2018. And maybe he's still like that, but I think he's found that there's a niche or there's an unexploited market for him to get into at this stage. And so he's doing his, on Wednesdays, I think he has, Men in America series or something like that. I don't know if he's still doing it. I know he was doing it for March and April, but I don't know if he's continuing it. I think he is. But
that's because he has 3 teenage kids, doesn't he?
Yes.
Or 5 or something like that?
Yeah.
Probably now they're old enough. He's past the cute stage of kids. Now they're teenagers. He's like, fuck.
That's interesting. It's interesting you say how that works out because I know so many bloggers who, mommy bloggers in particular, who got into the red pill side of things because they were worried about their daughters or their sons getting all locked up into hookup culture, and now that they're grown, they don't care anymore. It's like suddenly they're not as invested in it as they were. And then back when they were really like, their kids are like tweens when they're like 8, 10, 12 years old, they don't really care so much. But once they hit the teens and they get into the point where they're like 14 up until they get married, in their 20s or something like that, then they're really, really interested. That's what I'm doing. But anyways, that's what I'm doing.
Nice. Ryan, what do you got going on? I saw you sent me a post where this show is actually blowing up in the Red Pill subreddit.
Yeah, it was neat. So I always hate doing the self-promotion things. We try to keep it focused on game and frame. Yeah. But other people are posting out. That's kind of nice. Nothing but good feedback, even from the usual peanut gallery. So that's always good. We actually got a little bit of hate. Well, you got a little bit of hate mail.
Oh, I
don't know if I showed you that one. Yeah, they posted, it's this weird subreddit called, like, this is supposed to be alpha or some crap like that. And it was a picture of the 21 convention saying, this is the red pill. And they showed every non-red pill speaker you had.
Wait,
of course they did.
In like history of like 10 years or what?
I think it was just the last year's one. Like they had Socrates up there, and they were like, "This is the guy who tells you to lift all day." And I'm like,
"Yeah,
no, he doesn't."
They had Johnny Saporno on there, and they had like Ross Jeffries on there too.
Yeah.
Was Hypnotica conveniently left out?
Yeah, like everybody who was in shape, they completely left out, which was kind of funny there. And then on a personal level, finally got my CD. I think I posted this one. I don't know if you guys know. In Canada, there's I got 2 medals for my military time. The Southwest Asia Service Medal that I got for deploying over by Somalia, and the other one's a CD. Oh, don't clap it. I puked a lot.
What's a CD? I don't know.
Canadian decoration. It's essentially you get it at 12 years, 22 years, and 32 years.
Nice.
So 2 years after I retired, it finally came in the mail with an apology letter from some lieutenant commander, so I'm going to hang that and frame it beside the other letter I got from a different commanding officer calling me a bag of shit. So I don't know why, but I'm really proud of both of those.
Congratulations.
And that's what I got going on.
Good. Donovan, it's been a while, man. Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Since my I've been exiled from YouTube. I've been working hard behind the scenes, building my website. For those of you who want to know, and again, we're not into the whole self-promotion thing, but DonovanSharpe.com, that's where to find all my content. I've tied my website along with Patreon, so most of my content is gated, but some of it isn't. I understand that not everybody has XYZ, but a lot of good content on there. The train never stops running, and so yeah, I mean, I'm no longer relying on YouTube. I'm building my audience the hard way, the old-fashioned way. So So yeah, I mean, good old fashioned SEO keywords, relevant topics, et cetera, et cetera. So things are going well. It's a lot more. It's certainly a lot more work than it used to be, but I like it a lot. I like being in complete control of my content and not have to worry about some fat feminist with cankles or some some blue pill beta white knight, trying to flagging wars, things of that nature. So yeah, my content is the same as it was. It's probably a little bit more raw, but yeah, I mean, DonovanSharpe.com is where you can find my content now. So that's really what I've been up to.
Cool. Sorry, I had to fix something there. Whew, that was a close one. Carl, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. I've been setting up another website, actually, because I heard that Donovan was doing his own platform, and I'm setting up a betting site so you can bet on how long does it take him to get banned from a platform he actually owns.
Good.
Hey, listen, I'll take the under if you're doing over/under. I'm definitely taking the under.
Don't worry, Donovan, you will never be banned from the 21 Convention, 21 Studios. This
Appreciate
is a safe space for men, a very safe space.
It's only a matter of time. We were actually just talking about this. Rollo was talking about, I mean, listen, Google has all of the money. So I don't know if they can't. I think Ryan said that they can't really own WordPress, but my particular site is hosted through a particular website or whatever. You guys can probably find out what that is, but who knows? Maybe Google buys those guys and eliminates me. So, you know what you got to do, but I mean, that's dystopic. That's way off into the future, but it would be a lot harder to take me down off of this platform than on YouTube. All they have to do is snap their fingers and I'm gone, but it's going to take a lot more effort to do it this time. And since then, my viewership has certainly increased. So
Yep.
A win-win.
Yeah, I'll put a link to your Patreon too and all that in the video description after this is done on your website.
Thank you.
I think your old Twitter account's actually linked in the video description. So my bad.
You know what? Yeah, no. Hey, listen. That's okay. Leave my old Twitter account. If you'd Google Donovan Sharpe Twitter, my page is completely suspended, but you can still see, like, Google has indexed all of my tweets, so you can still see my tweets even though it's been suspended. But it adds to the it sort of adds to the narrative. Hey, Donovan Sharpe is a truth teller. Twitter suspended. Twitter's got him off. YouTube's got him off. Find out why. So
I prefer to call you a hated enemy of the feminist empire, but
there you go.
Truth teller works too. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, they all want my dick. This is how women react when they want dick. Can't say I blame them.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. It's nice to have you like exclusively on this show. So.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. Listen, there's only two other places to get me. I do a show with another guy called O'Shea Duke Jackson, and then I do my show. Other than that, this is it. So if guys want Donovan, you either come to 21 Studios or you get to DonovanSharpe.com. That's about it. Sweet.
Carl, anything else? We had kind of went off topic there. I know you had a new post come out. I did not read it yet.
No, I'm mailing it to you every day until I've got it confirmed that you've read it. No, it was just something that I've been doing every year around my birthday. Is I sit down and I kind of take the accounts of the previous year and I see, okay, where have I improved? What has gone off the rails? What's not on point, and so on. And this year, I thought that would actually be an interesting thing for a lot of guys to read, because we talk a lot about self-improvement and various things, but we don't really tell guys, here is what you need to watch out for. Like, I'm not sure if I posted it, but the 100 approaches thing started out as a way to get guys to get over approach anxiety, for instance. And somewhere along that line, it became, just do 100 approaches to get good at game. And that's not how it works. That's just to get you to stop sweating and stuttering over yourself when you approach.
Yeah.
And going beyond, 20, 30 approaches just to get that done, you waste effort because you're not improving anything in the last 70. So, and the same thing, and that was what I was getting into in the post, that, okay, at some point you have to see the effort I'm putting in here is not netting me the results I want at the rate I would want them. And you have to either change what you're doing or decide, is this something I'm going to keep doing, or should I just stop doing it?
Yeah, the graph you posted is very triggering. The law of diminishing returns with basically self-improvement, or however you came up to create the graph. But yeah, I like it a lot.
Oh, I stole that graph. I don't really put much effort. That's usually whenever I finish a post, I'm like, okay, I want to call it this, and the main topic is this. Okay, put in a DuckDuckGo search and see what happens.
Yeah. Regardless, it's very triggering, and I enjoy it. Even just seeing it, I was like, oh, this looks like a good post. I got your book, by the way, right on the shelf here. It's gonna get finished, dude. It's even physically closer to me now, so it's gonna happen.
That's funny when you see graphs like that. You're right. It is very triggering because people don't want to accept that, you know, the nuts and bolts and the statistics are conflicting with their ego investments. The reason I'm saying that is because I got into it with a bunch of people on Twitter this week. They were talking about how the statistically they were looking at how men are going more celibate these days and women are far less celibate because well, I mean, really because they're trying to make a connection to Tinder, you know, where women can pretty much get, you know, laid whenever they want while exercising their hypergamy. I mean, really, what is Tinder? It's an app that's used to facilitate hypergamy.
Yeah.
Listen, let me correct you there. Men aren't they're not deciding to be celibate. Men are being forced into celibacy.
Yes.
What's what the in's for?
Yeah.
Involuntary.
There you go. Involuntary celibate. Just like our guy, what was his name? I keep forgetting his name, man. I know his Manassian. Alec Manassian, the Canadian guy that decided to run over a bunch of people.
Oh, the crazy truck driver.
Listen, check this out, man. And I know I don't want to make light of the situation because this is a very serious situation, but I honestly think that if mass shooters, and this is sort of half joking, but if mass shooters would just jerk off twice before picking up that gun, maybe they wouldn't pick up the gun anymore, right? I mean,
they don't want the sex. Like, they don't need the sex. Otherwise, it would just be hookers and sex bots.
Yeah,
it's not
all right,
that.
Okay, all right.
Because we're social creatures, right? So when you're antisocial and you're like incapable of building any type of social bond, because girls won't go near you, guys probably avoid them too because we're not very social to begin with. It puts you in that weird spiral, and this is just that 1 in 10,000 people that has that radical side effect of it, and they end up going crazy.
Well, to be clear too, he didn't pick up a gun. He drove a truck, right?
Drove a truck.
And was it? One of you guys that said this? They had a point that thank God that right now our mass murderers aren't very smart. It was either something was read on Twitter or one of you guys linked it. But yeah, it was like people are putting bombs in their shoes. They're driving trucks. Imagine when you start getting these MIT graduates who are going to be increasingly like involuntary celibate, and then somebody who's got an ounce of knowledge about how to make real damage happen. That's the thing you got to worry about.
Check this out. We got close in 06 with Sung-Wee Cho down at Virginia Tech, man. That dude, if you read, remember he chained up both sides and killed 32 people in 90 seconds. You know, so the Sung-Wee Cho, that to me, that's a good example. That's a good example in terms of when smart men really start to figure this out. Like right now, we just got people running people over in trucks and just shooting at random. Just like Ryan said, wait till they really start putting together blueprints, and you're going to start seeing casualties into the triple figures on a regular basis. This is going to make Las Vegas look like a walk in the park.
And that's why I hate seeing this guy's Rollo's talking about where they're talking about how incels need to be locked up or jailed or killed, or like you guys are making the problem worse. Like men aren't going to go away, and you have to give them. And all of a sudden they immediately think, well, you're supposed to just offer them sex to keep them from murdering people. It's like, what the fuck is your problem? Yeah. No. You got to find a method to allow them to get their own.
They reduce it to a commodity, a commodification of it, which is it's really interesting because that side of the fence or that side of the sphere always likes to say, well, you should, you know, people are people and we're all individuals and we're all special little snowflakes, but yet, and they get all pissed off when you talk about how women commodify sex these days. But then they're the first people who will commodify it when something like this happens.
Of course.
So they say that, well, these incels think that they're owed sex. And that's the first mistake that these people make, is that sells copy. That is, you know, that gets click through when you make these guys turn out to be these crazy guys. It's like, no, they didn't choose that, or they're not doing that because, you know, because they feel like they're owed sex. They're doing it because they have done everything that they could possibly think of to find intimacy with a woman, whether that's sex or that's, you know, anything else. The other thing they need to also understand is these guys are usually pretty mentally damaged. I mean, this guy, Alec Manassian, the the guy was confirmed to have Asperger's syndrome. So there is
He
that.
lasted 16 days in basic training.
Well,
That's
here's
barely
something I
long enough to
want
learn how to make a bed.
Here's something I want to throw out to the whole group on this particular issue. It's like a question in a sense. Do you guys think that open hypergamy and the open feminine imperative being more aggressive is radicalizing mentally ill young men? Or do you think there's a connection there?
I think the men are the side effect.
Yeah, I think using the term radicalization is what the femisphere really wants to wipe off on the manosphere. They want to say that you know, that the red. I've read this a million times, and there was a CNN like sort of mini documentary about this guy who got into the red pill. And
I saw that. Yeah, he said it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it didn't work. And really, it's interesting because that is exactly what Elliot Rodgers said, and that's why there was the pickup artist hate, or the PUA hate forum.
Now, the Return of Kings, the viewership tripled overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
appreciate that.
Well,
ouch.
You know, what's funny is, like, if you look at his videos, which are still available, if you look at his videos, he hated pickup artists. He hated the red pill community. I mean, he was a premier member of PUA hate, and so, you know, you got this guy who went through the motions. He went through the pickup artist community and probably, you know, made a token effort to go and try to use game to his advantage. And then, of course, it didn't work out for him, but he still had this red pill knowledge, and he understood hypergamy, just, you know, like a, you know, open hypergamy or whatever, and tried to use that to his advantage. Didn't work for him, and he became really, you know, he's already imbalanced, so he becomes even more imbalanced. So when he sees like a Stacy and a Chad together, then he loses his shit. And it's because it's not working for him, and he thought it was guaranteed that it would be working for him.
I take it a step further too. Not just that it's not working for him; it's that it's a rigged game and that he has no chance.
Yes, and I hear the rigged game meme a lot from MGTOWs as well. Just saying. You know, just saying.
Yeah. Well, listen, MGTOWs and guys like Elliot Rodger, I don't know what the other guy's name was, but they claim to hate the red pill and they hate PUAs is because we get easy sex from women. They feel like, and again, it's just like what you said, they feel like if they just go through a series of pickup lines and motions, that the sex should just come to them. And when it doesn't work that way, they lose their shit. But the main reason they originally hate PUAs and the red pill is because we don't put as much time and effort into fucking pretty girls as he tried. He paid the time, the money, the emotion, and he still couldn't get laid. Whereas red pill aware guys, and again, I want to make this distinction. Most men have red pill knowledge, red pill awareness, but there are very few men, and I like to call these men 5%ers, who actually put this knowledge into practice and live the red pill life. Listen, there's not a man in the United States alive that doesn't think bitches ain't shit, right? But I mean, seriously, like, you ask any guy at the bar, you know, when there's no women around, oh yeah, women are sluts, they cheat. And they all have this red pill knowledge, but very few actually put it into practice. And when you have men who don't put it into practice, with the mentally ill, marginalized from birth, as somebody said earlier, that's when you get these mass shootings.
Well, I would disagree, because you have terminal betas and guys along that spectrum who actually deeply believe the lies they've been told for decades. They won't say that at the bar. They'll actually believe girls don't.
They won't be at the bar.
Exactly. They won't even be. Well, they might be at the bar drinking or something.
Yeah, these are the guys. These are the guys you curb. These are the guys you curb stomp when you go up and talk to a girl or talk about a girl. Man, she's got great tits. Don't talk about her that way. Really, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Automatic white knighting, and then yes, it's.
I hate those fucks, man. White knights are worse than feminists.
I'm watching the chat here, and they're saying, you know, incels are red pill aware. Yes, absolutely, they are.
Yes,
red
they
pill
are.
Aware. But see, here's the thing: should they not be red pill aware? I mean, what they take and they do with that knowledge is really kind of on them. All right. Like I have dealt with guys who read my book and they email me the next day and say, this is an awakening for me. I was going to kill myself and now I'm not going to kill myself. I had a date set that I was going to, you know, put a noose around my neck, and now I see hope. You know, I see those guys. And then I see the other guys who go, I'm fucked. I'm 300 pounds. I'm never good. I don't have any. I have no.
Jump off a bridge.
Yeah, exactly. I have no hope, and they don't. Or you get the guys who are so attached to their old blue pill idealism, like, but I did everything right, and maybe they did. They realize that it's a raw deal for them. And so they go, I did everything the right way. I played the game like I was supposed to. How come?
Wrong game. I won the popular vote.
And those are the guys.
Right.
And those are the
Right.
and those are the guys.
Oh, that's good.
Those are the guys who they still want to cling to that. They either go purple pill or they go incel is what they do. They go into some sort of state of denial where they don't want to cross that abyss. They don't want to see the hope, and they want to see the opportunities that exist when you are red pill aware and you accept the red pill, that knowledge, and you're working in a new paradigm. And a lot of guys don't know what to do with themselves after that because they've invested so much of their lives in that blue pill idealism. And so, yes. And so then on top of that, you got these people saying, well, you feel like you're owed sex because you did everything right the way that everybody convinced you like you should be doing since the time you were 5 fucking years old. And yeah, of course, they're going to lose their shit because of that, because there's no win. There's no win in the red pill for them because they try to do the pickup artist stuff. And then there's no win for them on the opposite side because everybody's going to think that they're owed sex.
I love Carlson, great posts on this for behavioral loops that guys get stuck in, where they do all the things they're told to do, they don't get laid, and they fucking keep doing it anyway. They double down for decades.
It's ridiculous. And these guys who say, I tried it and didn't work. No, dude, you didn't really try it. Those guys, to me, they are akin to fat women who want to get gastric bypass surgery. Now, stay with me here. These women already know, just stay with me, guys. These women already know they want to take the easy way out. They want to do liposuction, the balloon. They want to do some sort of surgery so that the weight just comes off without any effort, right? So what do? Before they go to the doctor and get a consultation, they buy the treadmill, they buy the elliptical machine, they buy the useless pink weights that are 2 pounds that don't do shit. They buy the exercise ball that they can bounce up and down on to pretend that they're working out. They buy the exercise videos. They buy everything to show the world that they did what was necessary to try to lose weight. That way, when they go to the doctor, they can say, well, I did this, I did A, B, C, X, Y, and Z, and it still didn't work. Guys who say, well, dude, in my jiu-jitsu class, the very first jiu-jitsu class I had, I don't know how the red pill came up. I have no idea how it came up. But one guy said, you know what? I tried it stuff and it didn't work. I said, well, you were trying the wrong thing. And I left it at that because I didn't want any trouble. It takes years to become the 5% or the red pill aware male that you truly want to be. If you really want to change as a person, it takes more than just reading the Rational Mail and saying, you know what, I think I figured it out. It takes more than watching me at 4:30 every day and saying, you know what, Donovan is right. I'm a change. No, this takes practice. Like, if you want to change your body, dude, that takes years. That takes a long time. You can't just say, oh, I tried XYZ pickup lines and it didn't work, so the red pill doesn't work. That's disingenuous, and you didn't try.
It's persistence and it's consistency too.
There you go.
Also, you have to understand that, yeah, you really might be behind the curve, really fucking behind the curve, and you have a lot of work to do. It's not a magic pill. I've written about this several times. The best example I can give you is Dream Girls and Children with Dynamite. These guys, I mean, and props to Ross Jeffries, because I got that line from him. They become children with dynamite. They get this red pill knowledge, and it's dangerous to these guys because they haven't killed that blue pill side of themselves yet. And they'll learn game, and they'll go out there, and they'll even see some success with that. But they're also learning about what their real role is and where they fit in to the game, really, to intersexual dynamics.
Was that you were poking fun at yesterday that just had that? Mm-hmm. The guy who was talking about his man caves and that, you were just pointing that out, that he just figured that out for himself. He was on Twitter.
Yeah. It's I think it was Matt Walsh. Was it Matt Walsh?
That's the one. Fuck, people hate him, man. They hate him.
Well, they hate him. They hate him for a lot of different reasons. They hate him, first of all, because he's TradCon, and then it's interesting for when I get into it with Matt Walsh, and like myself and Dalrock, we get into it with Matt Walsh all the time, and it's like he's first of all, he's very full of himself when it comes to his religious and his conservative beliefs. Okay, I'm not going to hold that against him, but what he does is he is a blue pill white knight while he's trying to tell guys to man up. He's one of these guys who says you need to man up so that you can be a better slave on the plantation and I've nailed his ass to the wall too a couple times when it comes to abortion. He's very, very much against abortion. I go, great. If you think abortion is murder, then should we not have women be tried for murder if they? Oh,
that's a catchy one. They don't have an answer for that.
If you ask that question to a guy who's like that, who's that traditional conservative mind, 9 times out of 10, they'll go, well, you know, the guy had something to do. I think, no, I'm not.
No. I'm
talking about the girl. She has 100% total control over whether that kid lives or dies. If she says it dies, should she be considered a murder? You know, should she be tried for murder one or not?
Well, it's a diversion tactic too, dumping it on the men, right?
Listen, and listen to this, and we have to understand this. This is the time we live in. Females and females alone, they have complete control over what babies get born and which babies don't. They literally have procreative control. And here's, let's call abortion what it is. You can take religion out of it. It doesn't matter if you're an atheist. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. Here's what abortion is. It is killing people before they're born. Because I'm gonna tell you something. If we found out of a vet who was in Wichita, Kansas, who was killing puppies and kittens before they were born, performing abortions on puppies and kittens, guess what? These fucking fat feminists would lose their fucking minds. But they'll march on Capitol Hill to give people the right to kill people before they're born. That's what abortion is. It's not like they give it all these fancy scientific names. No, you are killing people before they are born. That's what it is.
Rollo?
Yeah, I was going to say, and that, just to sort of dovetail into that a little bit, people have asked me about this, so I figure I better clarify it here live on TV. My beliefs about abortions, like, I'm not necessarily in it from a religious side of things. I've tried to look at things again, like from an objective perspective here. But what abortion really is that it is the ultimate expression of hypergamy. And people go, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, well, think about it this way. Nothing says he wasn't the right guy like the unilateral, uncontested ability to kill that man's genetic legacy in her own uterus.
Okay? Right.
And then at the last freaking minute, I mean, all the way up. I mean, what were they talking about? Like these third trimester abortions and stuff. We can even go to that part right there. We can go right up until the baby's head pops out. I mean, breaches out of the womb.
Well, to clarify though, this is in America, and other countries like Japan, I think, are a bit different.
Right. But what that is, I mean, but think about what is the latent function of those things. That's the same thing I say about like divorce. Divorce laws in the United States. It's just this big multi-billion-dollar, industrial complex. Well, same thing goes for all of these things that have happened since the sexual revolution, and one of those is abortion. Why is abortion such a hot button issue for that side of the feminist sphere? Why? Because it is the last statement in hypergamy. If they can say, you know what, I don't want to have a kid, and no guy can possibly contest that. They always say, I don't want the government in my uterus. Okay. Great, fine. But you know what? The problem is, the reason that you don't want them in your uterus is so you can affect your sexual strategy.
Hey, Carl?
Yeah, I just wanted to just mention that I think we're going to see many more incels, not necessarily coming out of the woodwork, but becoming a much, much bigger part of the population. Because if you remember the Radicalism stats, I used the Radicalism stats in one of my earlier essays, and you see that on these dating sites, about 80% of the women are chasing the top 20% of men, and the bottom 80% of men are chasing the bottom 20% of women. And if you put this into a statistical graph, you'll start to see that, okay, so if you have a bell curve with the entire population, and men and women all end up somewhere between 5 and 7 would be the average sexual market value. But if you have to have a minimum sexual market value to be a relationship for a woman, you have to be 7 or above. That's a very small part of the distribution. It's about 12.3% or something. And the beta buck sign is no longer needed, because it used to be that a woman would get married to a guy who wasn't necessarily a +2 or +3 in sexual market value just because she needed the beta buck sign. But the state takes care of that now, so women would rather be single and have their shot with the top 20% when they're having an off night at the club and can't connect anything else. So you end up with something like probably 70% of men are infrequently celibate. So they're celibate at times, but not consistently. And you have this maybe even 20, 30, 40% of men in the end that will be left as incels.
Yeah. And that sort of goes back to your question, Anthony. Yes, is open hypergamy and really open cuckoldry, is that what's causing this right now? I think I've written a post about this. It was like part 3 of the Dangerous Times series that I did. I see us moving rapidly towards a form of polygamy right now that is not men, for the first time in history, really not men who's inspiring it, it's women. And it's exactly what Carl was just saying a minute ago, is that polygamy will be a result of exactly that hypergamous nature of women. They're always looking for the bigger and the better. And anyone else who happens to have sort of some kind of utility, those are going to be the beta bucks guys. Those are going to be the providers that are going to raise the kids of the guys that they had the babies with, that they're going to have, right?
Which really pisses men off.
Well, it does. And then I think, and I'm just going to clarify something here, is I get called to the carpet for this quite a bit. People say, well, if you look at the genetic statistics, or you look at the DNA and the genomic records, well, women aren't, cuckolding men all that much. I'm like, no, it's because our definition of cuckoldry is not the same definition that they are trying to use. They think that cuckoldry means that a woman and a man who are married, the woman goes out, has a kid secretly, and then comes back and tells the other guy, her husband, that it's his kid. That is what I call proactive cuckoldry, where she goes out and she does that on her own, on the sly, right? Well, is it not true that if a woman goes and she has sex with the alpha guy in her party years, and she has one, maybe two, maybe three kids with one or two other guys that she, didn't, she thought were going to be around, or she thought would make a good father material, and they're not. And the guy that she meets when she's in her epiphany phase at 30, 31 years old, and she marries this guy, is that guy not now a cuckold?
Because it's more like cuckoldry in slow motion, is what it sounds like.
It's retroactive.
Opt in.
Cuckoldry. Yeah, because if you look at what is the definition of cuckoldry? It is a man taking the parental investment responsibilities of another man and raising that man's child. And if that guy does not breed himself, all he is a means to an end for the guy who did breed.
Well, Rollo, I want to challenge something you just said a little bit. So you said that she thought these alpha men in her 20s or whatever, where she was getting knocked up, might have made good fathers, and then of course she realized.
Well, I mean, that's subjective. So I mean, the situation could be anything, really.
It could be an ex-husband. Think of it that way. You marry some poor bastard, have his kids, he's an alpha male. 2 years later, you realize he won't get a job, you divorce him, then get your beta buck, same thing.
Right.
Well, here's what comes to mind, though. Hang on a second. Is that hypergamy does not care, and women are so entitled and arrogant at this point on a generalized scale that I don't even think they care at this point if the guy's going to make a good father or not. They just want to, in a lot of cases, just want to get knocked up or whatever, or just don't even give a shit if it happens because the state's going to step in and take money.
Well, hold on one second. Like I've already said, that hypergamy, if is nothing else, it is always expedient and it is always pragmatic. So if a woman is in her party years, that's why I called this the party years in preventive medicine. If she's at 22, 23, 24 years old, she is at her fertility peak. Her hindbrain knows this. Her hindbrain understands that she is at the apex of her sexual market value at that point. Now, women will fight me on that and will say, no, we're more sexual when we're 20 or 30. Well, great. First of all, that's bullshit. Second of all, if you think that, you're not also taking into consideration that your body knows that is your highest point of fertility. I can show you the biological evidence of the difference between a woman who is 40 years old, 30 years old, and 20 years old as to what their capacity is to carrying a child to term. And I'll tell you, it's a lot better when she's 22, 23, 24 years old. So she's trying to maximize optimize her hypergamy in two different states. At her peak sexual market value, she's trying to get the best seed that she can. She's trying to get the best genetic quality that she can get at that point. Because remember, we're talking about alpha fucks and beta bucks. Well, those are prioritized differently at different stages of a woman's life. So when she's 22, she's prioritizing the alpha fucks and the alpha seed. And then when she gets to be 30 years old, or 29, 30, 31 years old, she is looking to cash out of the sexual marketplace. So what does she have to do then? Well, the priorities shift then. Her priorities now are to find a guy who is a good provider, who is going to be, is going to take care of any children that resulted from when she was in her sexual market value peak.
So basically dumping all of her trauma on some guy.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of things that go. I mean, if you read preventive medicine, I go into this quite a bit, but
Well, listen, to add to what Anthony was talking about, or I guess to add to what he was challenging as far as Rollo was saying, and it is subjective as far as women thinking that an alpha dude is going to be a good father. But here's the thing: women know enough about men to know the difference between good genes, good dad. That's another way of saying alpha fucks beta bucks. I think I heard that from you, Rollo. Now, women know that alpha guys don't make very good dads. They make great fathers genetically, but they don't make very good dads. When it comes to arousal, women are not rational, okay? They're not thinking right before they get on their knees and suck this guy's dick, is this guy going to make a good father? No. Her feminine hard drive is designed to consolidate on the best genes available to her at that time. And the way things are now is it allows her to take that alpha seed and then sort out the details later, which means finding a beta bucks guy. So again, she wants the good genes so she can have the alpha kids, and then she wants the good dad. Obviously the guy that, that's not really that attractive. The point is that, yeah, 21, 22-year-old girls, yes, they are young and dumb, but they know the difference between a good father and a good dad. They don't think for any second that a guy riding a motorcycle is going to be a good father.
Per Rollo's point, though, women are highly pragmatic, right? But so in that vein, though, in that same line of thought, what consequences do they face for making dumbass decisions at this point? They
don't. They face no consequences, and this is why they can be even more irrational.
Yeah, exactly. I 100% agree.
That's what I'm saying. When women are aroused by someone, they're not being pragmatic at all. It's all based on emotion, and I gotta take the seed. They're not thinking about the details. Now they might start thinking about it maybe the next morning or 5 minutes later when they're smoking a cigarette. But in that moment, she's not thinking, "Oh my God, I'm about to have a kid with this dude." No, all she's thinking is, "I gotta fuck this guy. Condom be damned."
That's the instinctual side of it right there.
There you go.
Instinct. It's instinct at that point. It's like when and I've used this before, but when she sees the hot guy in the foam cannon party on spring break in Cancun, she's not thinking about, will this guy make a great father for my kids? She's not thinking that. She's thinking, I want to have sex with this guy. And guys do this too. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to just, of course. I mean, when we see a hot girl, I mean, when I first met my wife in a club, I was like, yeah, I think she'd be a great wife, and she might make a really good. I'm like, no, I want a piece of that. I want to tap. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, fundamentally,
Rollo was at the club running a red pill game.
If I'm not mistaken, the desire to fuck a woman fundamentally is the desire to impregnate her. Exactly. Your brain isn't making a distinction.
Once again, and this is something I can't stress enough, is that you need to understand what is the latent purpose of that particular drive. What is it forcing you to? I mean, Jordan Peterson got all bent over because of his assertion that women put on makeup to make themselves more sexually attractive, and women flipped out. They're like, "Why don't put it on just to to turn guys on?" I'm like, then why are you not?
Well, and that Vice guy was confused, so he didn't agree either.
Why are you putting lipstick on that's red that makes your face look flush? Why do you try to mimic sexual arousal cues on your face? They don't think about that because
sweetie.
It's just instinct, is what it comes back to, that instinct. But
it's so funny. This is one of the main differences between men and women. We as men, listen, we have no problem acknowledging the basics of being men. Well, you dislike her because she has big tits. Yes, I do. Well, you dislike her because she's hot. Yeah, I do. You guys are only thinking about sex. Yeah, that's true too. But tell a woman that she does something for more sexual attention, it's like, oh my God, I'm so much more than that. We're not as shallow as you guys. Yes, the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Donovan, you want to know something funny? When they give you that all you want them is for sex thing, ask them in return, well, what should I want? And then you see what answer you get back. Usually a lot.
That's good. That
is good.
Pressure flipping. That's why I was saying Jordan Peterson studied PUA with that Kathy Newman thing. Like those simple pressure flips are such a great way to turn these conversations around. Mm-hmm. Like, well, what do you want me to like her for? Her clothing fashion?
No, right, exactly. Like I'm supposed to be aroused by, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I'm thinking about fucking, I'm like, oh my God, I'll bet she does long division like a motherfucker. Oh my God.
Just
so turned on by the way you do onomatopoeia and iambic pentameter in the English language. No, bitch, I like the way your ass looks, and that's okay. I'm good with that.
Just to finish off what Anthony's thought here is that do women do that? No, but I'll tell you this: we're talking about how women's instinct kicks in, and they're not really thinking about things in long term, particularly when they're at their sexual market peak. They're just thinking about get the seed, and they're not even thinking about that. They're just thinking, this guy's hot and I want to have sex with him. But we have catered to women societally since the sexual revolution so that any consequences and any negative results of that are either erased or abolished, or they're shamed and blamed on men for the negative consequences of those particular actions. So if we have a woman who, you know, accidentally got pregnant and accidentally had the kid from a guy that she met at, you know, in spring break in the foam cannon party, the guy who steps up and mans up and takes the initiative and takes over the parenting responsibilities of that guy that she had sex with on spring break, that guy is a hero, or at least a little while he's a hero, because we want to make it so that paternity for these guys is not that big a deal. It's better to, you know, you need to be a father. Well, okay, the father, the positive image of a father for these guys is the guy who steps up and conveniently takes over the parental investment responsibilities of the guy that she had sex with back in her party years.
And what that really means is so he can be weeded out of the human race.
Yes. And so, yeah. And so what is it? Yeah, that's a good thing. What's the latent purpose of that? The latent purpose of convincing men that paternity shouldn't make any difference to them is to affect.
Oh shit, we lost him at an awesome moment.
Oh, wow.
Damn,
where did he go?
You know what?
Just hit Rollo's place.
Yeah, I was going to say they just
300-pound.
What happened?
300-pound feminist just came crashing through Rollo's window, and they're dragging him to Guantanamo right now.
Rollo, welcome back.
Yeah,
I tell you what, I wish a 300-pound feminist would walk through my fucking door.
Oh my god.
Well, so I mean, let's get back to the incel thing. I mean, that was going to be one of our topics here today, but I think that what Anthony was talking about is, yes, will open hypergamy and open cuckoldry be a motivator, an impetus for more and more incels? Yes, I think so. That's part of it. The other part of it is that guys, you know, red pill guys, or even these guys who don't even, you know, incels don't necessarily have to be educated by the red pill. I mean, that's one thing about open hypergamy is that it is already educating these guys. It's women who are going to educate guys in, you know, their own sexual strategies more than anything else, because they're proudly flaunting it in commercials, in movies, in popular media, in songs, and you name it. And I can point out, I mean, every time, at least 4 times a week, I point out, you know, instances of open hypergamy. So yeah, these guys are going to see that, and they're still playing by the old set of rules. They're still playing by the old rule books and the old social contracts. And they believe that if they build themselves up and do exactly what TradCon guys like Matt Walsh and the rest of these guys who are, and, you know, Jordan B. Peterson, they're standing up and they're you know, got their shoulders back and they're making their beds. Where's the pussy? Where's the pussy? The pussy's not here. How come my pussy? I got my lobster.
I made my bed. Why isn't there a vagina in it?
Exactly.
There's supposed to be a vagina in it.
Exactly. They're supposed to find me more attractive, right?
Yep.
No, they're not going to. And there's a whole lot more to it than just that. But when you have Asperger's syndrome, and when you're one of these guys who is one of these quote unquote lost boys, and you want to, I mean, they might not necessarily say, here's the 12 steps to get laid, but here's the 12 steps to be a better person. Well,
strongly alluded
at the back of their heads, they're thinking, well, if I'm a better person, then that means I'm going to have a better chance. I'm not owed it, but there's a better chance that I might get laid.
Well, what comes to mind when I was bringing up that issue and that question, the challenge, is that like Carl's talked about in his blog, he's looked at the stats on it pretty well, and I believe he's right. I think like 20 or a little bit over 20% of the population has a diagnosable mental illness.
Oh yeah.
But only one side of the population, males, are being told they're toxic, violent, demonic pieces of shit. So if 20%, 1 out of 5 men has a diagnosable mental health condition, you're telling those same males are being told aggressively all this open hypergamy, open cuckoldry, men are toxic pieces of violent shit constantly, through every fucking channel available. It's media, it's in the movies, it's in the newspapers, it's on CNN or whatever the fuck. So it's just, is it really that surprising that these guys that have Asperger's syndrome or whatever the fuck else, they go postal? Like, that's what they're told.
Kick a dog enough when he's down, he's eventually going to bite you.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Listen, and this is a simple solution. People say, "Oh my God, why are men walking into buildings and shooting people up?" Well, there are a lot of reasons, and it's a confluence of events. It's
and women. Don't forget YouTube HQ and women.
Oh yeah, well, okay, all right. Yeah, Nassim Agdam or whatever her name is.
There'll be more.
The point is that it all starts from marginalizing males from birth. And it's actually started. I don't know. It probably started when I was. I mean, I'll be 41 this summer. So, and I don't remember this happening too much when I was a kid, but the way it is now is males are marginalized from birth. We are told this, and little girls are told that there is something inherently wrong with males. You know, little Jimmy over there is jumping up and down. He wants to go outside. He's running around all the time. So we put him on Ritalin because there's something wrong with him. You know, something is wrong with masculine characteristics. So they dope him up, and then he's, pretty much a zombie for the rest of his life. When you marginalize men in this way, when you tell men, just like Ryan said, you beat a dog long enough, eventually he is going to bite. Men are being told that they ain't shit their whole lives, man. And there's nothing psychological about this. A lot of these guys are just pissed off. I'm tired of living in a world where men are the trailblazers. We build buildings, we invent iPhones, we do everything to make life convenient for everyone, including women. And all we're getting from women is a collective fuck you. These guys are pissed off. We're constantly told that we're bad, women are good. I think that's the simple answer.
Guys, I want to pause real quick and make an announcement that I almost forgot, but it's very important. And I think I can wait till Rollo gets in town to actually do it. So the other day, we sent out to alumni of the 21 convention that tickets are going on sale for alumni who don't have a ticket yet. However, some alumni bought at the event last year in September and October. One of them, however, says he's not going to make the event, and he wants to actually raffle off or give away his ticket to someone who deserves it. So we're actually going to do, and maybe when Rollo's here in town in Orlando, is raffle off that ticket that he bought to the event that he doesn't even want a refund on. He just wants me to give it to somebody. So what you can do if you want to be into that raffle is join the events VIP list at the21convention.org. That's the21convention.org, not .com. And we'll be raffling that off at some point later this month. Maybe when Rollo gets in town, we're here in studio.
Hey, do we have a list of speakers yet? I mean, that you can make public?
I can share it privately with you, yeah. Otherwise,
I just didn't know if you want to do it yet.
No, not yet. Well, you'll be there, Rollo, of course, and myself, and Ryan, I believe. Waiting Ryan on, he's pending. But we have over 15 speakers confirmed, and all those details go out on May 17th to the world. Early birds go on sale May 17th.
Yep, I'm going. I'll be there too.
Okay. Donovan, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we're trying to get Carl there too. We're working on kidnapping him, so we're working on it.
Listen, I've got the nondescript black trunk out there, man. I'm ready when you are.
Let's do it.
I'd very much like to get Tate there too. Not necessarily to speak, but just to have him there would be kind of cool.
Either one, I'm very open to it. Yeah.
I just want to see that padlock he's got for his brother's soul.
Yeah.
Listen, we're getting some. I don't know if we want to take this direction here, but we're getting some very interesting questions from a guy named Benjamin Darling. He actually asked quite a few questions, and it would lead me to believe that he might still be in the anger phase. The first one says, and this is right down the middle on 3 and 1 to Massey here. He says, "I understand that women love opportunistically, but can you explain how men love idealistically?" Then he asks, now this is a good one. Does living the red pill life conflict with love? I can't seem to fall in love with a woman because I no longer idealize any of them. Okay. Now I'll lead off and just answer that second one there. Living the red pill life means you have to come to grips with hard and fast truths. I wrote an article on Return of Kings years ago called 3 Unintended Consequences of Taking the Red Pill and Digesting It. And one of those unintended consequences is you don't really like girls as much. When you digest the red pill, and you actually see women for what they really are, they're just not as awe-inspiring in there. No, that doesn't mean you're not going to want to fuck pretty girls. Like, we're men, this is what we're designed to do. But they don't seem to have that mystical aura around them that they used to. And I think what Benjamin thinks that you have to have that feeling or the one to fall in love with a woman. Love is weird. Like, men and women, we love very differently. But if you have red pill awareness, it does allow you to see women for what they are. Does it make it harder for you to fall in love? I would say, yeah. What say you guys?
It should.
Yeah, right. It should. Right.
Your loyalty as a man back in the day used to be you were going to kill a fucker over her, because of her. Now, when he's talking about I don't feel in love, well, that's good. Don't be fucking giving it away. Don't be a emotion whore. What do they call it? Whore?
No. Listen, Ryan's right. Listen, Ryan's right.
Yeah, it's essentially your life, and you shouldn't be giving it away. They should have to pry that shit out of you.
Listen, this is the slut stud debate. Why are girls who sleep with a lot of guys sluts and guys who sleep with a lot of women studs? Here's the thing. Women, and Rolo, you actually pointed this out. Men are the gatekeepers to commitment and women are the gatekeepers to sex, right? The reason for that, it's almost like a dichotomy. What do men want more than anything? We want sex. What do women want more than anything? They want commitment. A woman who gives away sex freely and easily, she is a slut because she is giving away what she's the gatekeeper to. Men should have to work a little bit harder to fuck her, but they don't, so she's a whore.
Hang on, this changes to the time per month. I mean, she doesn't give a fuck about commitment if she's ovulating. She wants absolutely if she's in alpha seed mode. Plus, I think Rolo's done some updating on these things.
Well, it's not so much me. It's like I understand what you're saying, and yes, to a degree, I believe that is true, particularly at
just to finish.
phases. Okay, go ahead.
Just to finish my thought, a male version of a whore or a male version of a slut is a man not who sleeps with a lot of women, but a man who gives away his commitment too freely. So if you take a girl out and you fuck her on the first date, okay, she might be fun to have around for a little while, but she's not going to be the mother of my kids because my cock was in her mouth an hour and a half after I picked her up. Same with a guy. If a guy takes a girl out on a date and at the end of the day he says, well, Stacy, I would like for you to meet my parents. I'd like for you to meet my girlfriend. Guess what? He is unattractive. He is a male version of a slut because he is giving away what he is the gatekeeper to.
Yeah, if she hasn't earned it, it's the equivalent of some grandmother telling her kid, keep your dime between your knees like your mama told you. This is the guy equivalent to that. Well, don't fucking give it away. Don't get all stupid in the head over a girl until you know. And the only way you know is by having it proven to you. And it's hard to get, and it's very few opportunities. So you're going to be waiting. And that's a good thing.
There's a couple of things to remember about this. Okay, one of the things is, yes, you're right. You're 100% right, particularly when it comes to giving it away, because when anything is cheap, it loses value. When your attention is easy to get, when a woman doesn't have to work for it, when you're not a mystery, when you're not, when you're not making her work for your attention, that attention becomes worthless. You have to be someone that she has a challenge. In fact, I think it is insulting for women if you lay everything on the table and your life is an open book to them, and you're what they call, you're an onion. They want to peel you away layer by layer, because there's nothing more satisfying to a woman than to think that she has figured out a guy using her feminine intuition, and they want to feel as if they have some sort of some sense of accomplishment to be with a guy who really is above them in sexual market value. I mean, that's just the nature of hypergamy. They want somebody at or above above their sexual market value. They want a better deal than what they really are deserving of. And the way that they get that is that you have to be that challenge. So yes, when you give that away, and a lot of beta guys really do this, because they'll go on a date and they'll just vomit out all of their life's history on the restaurant table and say, I'm this and I'm that, and my mom did this, and when I was 10, and when I was 14, I did this, and my dad did this shit, and there's just a constant like catching you up, because they think, first of all, they think that comfort is associated with sexuality. They think that if I can just get her to the comfort phase, then I'll be good. I'll be fine. Then we can have sex, because a woman always wants to be comfortable with a guy. Well, no, any pickup artist will tell you that it is anxiety and it is urgency. That's why they call it sexual tension, because there's anxiety involved. There's urgency involved.
They want to fuck.
And they don't want to find out they don't want to have a family member sitting across the table from them. They want to have somebody that they are interested in sexually. And if you go and you make yourself so familiarity and comfort and rapport are anti-seductive.
That's right.
And so when you do that, you give that away. And just, you're talking about this in the longer term right now, where if you give away if you want to be exclusive, like after the first date, it's like, okay, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. You're first of all, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And second of all, you're insulting that woman by not giving her something to unwrap. You're not giving her the present to keep unwrapping and to keep figuring out. And you know, after a while, there's going to be that familiarity anyways. Why would you want to do that? Well, most guys are uncomfortable with that. They're uncomfortable with the anxiety. They're uncomfortable with the fact that they have to create some sort of sexual tension because they don't know what to do with that unless they've got some sort of understanding when it comes to like pickup artistry. They understand the game a little bit better and they understand how to use that to their advantage. Most guys don't want that. They want to just say, okay, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now, and let's, you know, we're exclusive. And, you know, these are the guys who become serial monogamists. Most guys, most beta men are serial monogamists, and that's how they date. Now, to get to the, just real quick, to get to the first part of this question, which I really wanted to talk about, which is idealism. How can I say that guys love idealistically? Well, you have to understand the fundamental differences between men and women. Women are really more concerned with people. They're more concerned with themselves. They tend to look inward. Men are more focused on things. And this is like, I'm not making this shit up. Okay. This is like straight out of Steven Pinker. Okay. Men are more focused on the outside world. They want to think about the possibilities of things that could come. Women, on the other hand, tend to look inward. They tend to be more introspective as opposed to, you know, self-important, really. Introspective is so much, but they really see, how does this outside world affect me? Whereas men think, how can I affect the outside world? And like, again, like I said, this is straight out of blank slate, Steven Pinker stuff. But what that does is it leads to an innate sense of idealism in men. They want to believe in what could be. And that can be anything. That could be anything from, you know, trying to put a man on the moon. Can we do it? Is it possible? Well, why would you want to do that? Because it's there. Why do I want to?
Exactly.
Because it's there. Because I'm interested in the outside world. And I have a great post, and I will refer, you know, just to make this as brief as possible. I have a good post called Idealism. If you listen to Idealism on my site, search engine, you'll find it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because the lead-in picture is a picture of a couple, and they both have cameras. And the guy has a camera, and he's looking out and taking a picture of the world. And the woman is laying down on this like a picnic blanket, and she's got the camera faced at herself, and she's going to take a picture, like a selfie of herself, while he's looking out. And I always thought that is like the epitome of the difference between men's idealism and women's solipsism.
It's iconic.
People think that that's necessarily a negative. I'll say, well, we are the race we are today. We're the species we are today because women are solipsistic, because they are hypergamous. In more recent times, that has been turned to a real negative, I think a real social negative, but it's not always the case. So to say that a woman is solipsistic, you know, it's hard to not make that sound like it's negative today, but women have to be. They have to be solipsistic. They have to be self-concerned because that's what preserved themselves and their children in our evolutionary past.
Yeah, they don't have those bear killing skills like we had.
Right. And men had to be focused on the outside world as to what can be in order to facilitate the species and to, you know, to keep the survival going, keep a roof over our heads, to have all the things that we just, you know, this freaking computer, you know, everything that we take for granted today is because men have this innate sense of looking outward and being more focused on things, where women are more focused on themselves and they're more focused on people.
Let's clarify.
That's why they have facility with communication, whereas guys have a more facility with spatial things, like spatial understanding.
Yeah, I want to make it clear too and clarify that you're saying these things. You're basically engaging in critical thinking about women, but in doing so, the environment is so hostile that everything you just said is instantly, you know, considered to be like misogyny and shit like that, like hatred against women.
Everything I could possibly say, anything that I could say about the nature of women is always going to be, if it's coming from a guy, it's always going to be considered negative. If
instantly and automatically.
Yeah,
that's
right. I can say the most flattering thing about women. I say, you know, like I think one of the most flattering parts about women's nature is their innate ability or their innate facility or predisposition with communication. They understand subcommunication so much better. That's one of the first things that they teach you if you're going to learn to pick up girls. If you're going to pick up artistry, they want you to understand that women have a far greater capacity to understand your subcommunications and to use that to your advantage. Now, you know, guys have to constantly think about that because it's not like our natural predisposition to be that way. But once we know about that, we can, you know, train our instincts to really be more about subcommunication. I think that's very flattering about women, and women will go, yeah, of course, we're all like that. Women are all like that. We all have a facility with communication. We all have an innate ability.
You like that? They're all about AOL.
They love that, but you go, you know what? Women are hypergamous and they are also solipsistic. What the fuck are you talking about? And you know, then they want to get all upset about that. They don't want to accept and that's one of the reasons I say that there is no such thing as a red pill woman, because they're happy to accept the parts of the red pill awareness that is complementary to their egos, and is complementary to their solipsism, and it's complementary to creating the kind of guy that they think that they want to be involved with in the long term. But they reject wholesale everything that is.
Oh, damn it! We lost him again. Right at that key moment.
He's fighting off those fat feminists, man.
I think it might be Google, because I've dropped off twice too. So
yeah, I saw you drop off.
Maybe they're finally trying to stick it to you, but a little more subtle.
They could put us on a blacklist, but I love that we have Trump in office. I mean, it makes it hard for them to focus on people like us. Well, welcome back.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, whatever you said, the last word got cut off. You were actually.
I was just going to say that most purple pill guys pander to that side of women who quote unquote want to be red pill, and these guys are the dudes that want to create these perfect little purple pill guys who only accept the flattering side of women's natures and completely reject everything that doesn't. And they think that is going to, well, of course, they build a business. You can build a business around that by
many men do. Trust me. Many men
so anyway, that's my very brief
monologue
outlook on idealism.
Let's actually pause here now that wrapped up. Let's focus on an important social issue that just happened. The Boy Scouts of America, I believe, are no longer called the Boy Scouts. They've been assimilated into the feminist Borg. Let's talk about that a little bit. The destruction, basically the fundamental destruction of 100-year-long American Organization for Boys.
Carl, it's been a while, man. What do you got on it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Carl's like,
well, for me, it's just a case of eliminating another male space. It's just one of those things where anytime men get together, men have conversations such as the ones we're having, and that's a threat to women. Because one of the things I've noticed with guys who are always putting other men ahead of the women in their life. Not necessarily if it's a wife relationship. At that point, a wife or daughter or something like that, you're going to have to adjust. But I have a friend of mine, for instance, who got a new girlfriend, and turns out the girl doesn't like known for 20 years. And the girl's like, I want us to stop hanging out with him.
Carl, we missed part of what you just said. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine told him that, I don't really like this one friend of yours. And they'd been together for about a year, I think, at that point. And she said point blank, I want you to stop hanging out with him, and I don't want him to hang out with us anymore. And he turned around and he said, nope, I've known him for 20 years. I've known you for a year and a half. You can get the hell out of my house.
Good.
And that shows they're loyal to the men of their group first, and then to the women. And I think that's an important factor in male life, because if you're women, that would be the guy who would sneak away from the hunting trip to go for the mammoth to hang out with some chick in the cave. And you can't really trust that guy.
And by hang out, you mean be her emotional tampon in the cave.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say I got into this topic with Pat Campbell on Friday, and I saw this coming, because this is just one more aspect of, again, invading male space. And people say, well, you're upset because women are coming into your male space, and you're losing your power. So that's why you're upset.
Now we have to sell. Listen, we're upset because now we have to sell Boy Scout cookies.
Everything has to do with power, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. First of all, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's like, yeah, guys are, we've had male spaces for so long that women, well, in this day and age, women automatically presume that any gathering of men is sexist. Any guys that get together. That's why I made this comparison as well on Pat's show. If you look at Harvard right now, they have just banned any all-male organizations that are gender exclusive just to males on that campus right now. However, there are several and still, school-wide supported all-female organizations on Harvard, and that's still okay. And what you're seeing is this demonization of men collecting together to talk about whatever. It doesn't need necessarily have to be some sort of red pill thing, like something like the 21 convention where all these guys are getting together and we're talking about things, we're comparing notes. This is that something like that will be considered endemically sexist to the femisphere, to that side, that the postmodernist kind of way of thinking. And the reason for that is because they need to cut off communication between men. They need to make it shameful for men to even want to all get together and have an all-male group. And so how do they do that? First of all, they remove the man. And we can talk about that a little bit too. I talked about this as well, is when you remove boy from the name Boy Scouts, you are not just, we want to be gender inclusive. No, you are removing men. You're moving the male aspect of that group out of that group. So when you go and you create these laws to have gender neutral language in government or in campus bylaws or in really anything, you're pulling just the three letters MAN out of the English language. So it's no longer fireman, it's fire person.
Yeah.
You are removing the male aspect out of that. Why is it just that? If we were really going to work, if we're going to do that, then we're going to also have to take out the words firewoman or whatever woman. If you take out, I'm sure there's probably
congressperson.
Congressperson. Right?
Fuck out of here,
we
man.
want those things to. We want some gender neutrality. They do not want gender neutrality.
Hooters girl.
And the reason for that is because it is.
Oh shit.
Oh, God damn it. Dude, when Rolo gets rolling, man. Well, listen,
I know. Go.
Listen, I'll take over. Listen, this, just like you said, this is another example, one of many of females invading male space. But here's the thing. If there were no such things as Boy Scouts, guess what? There probably wouldn't be any such thing as Girl Scouts. Men, and it's so funny, women constantly talk about how men ain't shit and we're this and that and the other, yet they continuously try to mimic us. They want to do everything that we're doing. Take the sport of football, for example. All of a sudden, we now have all of these diehard female football fans. No, y'all bitches don't like football. You like football because we like football. Now you got women playing fantasy football. I talked to one girl I was dating. Yes, listen. One girl I was dating in Vegas says, "Oh, I just love fantasy football." I said, "No, you like the fact that you're the only girl in your league." "No, it's not. No. I said, well, tell you what. Would you like to be in a fantasy football league with all women?" Well, yeah, exactly. It's the male attention.
Well, I think it's exactly like Rolla says too, that men getting together exclusively is a threat to female power, and they're in the process of a giant power reversal.
Listen, to add on to what you just said, women are afraid of men talking to each other because they know that they'll figure them out. Roosh tried to organize a meetup back in February of 2015. That got shut down, right? Here's the thing, man. The red pill has completely deconstructed women. We know who women are. We know what they are. We're not impressed anymore, right? Women want to keep this air. They want to keep this air of mystery and aura and mystical. And, oh, if you want to figure out a woman, you got to read a book this big. No, women are simple fucking creatures, man. And they know they're simple. One guy, I remember reading something that a woman is a sphinx with no secrets. Women are basic ass bitches, and they know they're basic ass bitches. And they know that if men get together and start figuring shit out, they're going to lose the ability to stop being treated like queens and princesses and being treated like the basic ass fucking bitches they are. That's what they're afraid of.
Yep.
Well, it's like what happened before with hypergamy. Hypergamy used to be a secret. It used to be something that women wanted to keep under the hat. They didn't want guys to understand that. Like when my most famous story, I guess, is this guy whose girlfriend found The Rational Male and started reading my book and thought she was going to flip out. She said, "Everything in this book is true, but you shouldn't know it." That was the first thing out of her mouth. You should not know this. And
they don't want the playing field to be level. Well, women want to have that advantage.
Really, well, they do, but here's the thing: is that in an age of open hypergamy, where they are openly embracing their sexual strategy and openly broadcasting it to the world, like I said, on all forms of media, on every cultural outlet that they can possibly get it out on, you can only take that with a grain of salt for so long, because they are the ones that are waking guys up just as much as a red pill is right now. And, you know, maybe a guy sort of fundamentally rudimentary gets it, and then he finds the red pill and he goes all the way over. Okay, I get that. But women themselves are contributing to, you know, making this not a secret anymore. That's why I wrote open hypergamy and really open cuckoldry as well, because that's the next follow-up to it.
Before we move off the Boy Scouts topic, anybody have comments on the absolute tratcon beta cucks and the Boy Scouts who enabled this shit to happen? I mean, obviously it had a leadership of some sort of hierarchy, and I'm not super familiar with it, but
that's the thing. Yeah, it's somebody eventually has to approve it. Now, yeah. I talked with Tanner, who's a Mormon red pill guy. You guys know him, Tanner Guzzi. And he was saying that the Mormons used to have that as part of their boyhood to manhood program, is joining the Scouts. I guess once they pulled it, they had such low investment in it, because it's been kind of slowly going downhill. There's a couple troop leaders that were diddling the boys, and basically guys weren't running it properly. And now that they lost the Mormons, they couldn't find anybody. And so that's when the girls were like, yeah, bring girls into this thing. And then it became a more appealing message. So yes, women are doing, like you said, they want to invade male spaces. They like the attention, that kind of stuff. But it's also that men are failing, and certain types of women are jumping on that opportunity. So I'm not saying this to say there's blame involved, but it's kind of a message to guys that you're not supposed to slip. And when you slip, things happen. And it kind of carries over into everything. Like even like a marriage. If you can't slip, Rolo can't just be super comfortable and blah, bark out his day to his wife all day. He has to have some mystery still. If he slacks, then she's going to start bringing the girls into the Boy Scouts. And that should almost be a meme, by the way, for a guy losing his marriage.
Bringing the girls into the Boy Scouts.
Girls into the Boy Scouts. Yeah.
Done.
Also consider that the Boy Scouts are a dying breed right now. They have had financial troubles, and they have had a substantial decline in membership for the last decade or so. And really, I see that as one more result of what's been going on culturally, you know, when it comes to feminizing the world. If you go and you look at the Girl Scouts have also had a switch, although their membership hasn't dropped, but the impetus and the latent purpose of the Girl Scouts is to teach these pro-feminist fempowerment narrative ideas to little girls. Now, I'm not saying that's inherently bad or good. I'm just saying that we're trying to feminize boys and we're trying to masculinize girls. And the Girl Scouts of America are very effective at masculinizing girls. Well, boys don't want to have anything to do with the Boy Scouts these days, because either their families don't find the values that they have all that great, or, you know, again, it's evidence of sort of, you know, I want to say a moral decay, but it's definitely a lack of interest in the values that the Boy Scouts represent. And I think that when you see how they allow, you know, openly gay scout leaders and openly gay scouts into that, I see a lot of, what was it? Pat Campbell was talking about this too, that there's a lot of churches that used to allow their facilities to be used for the Boy Scouts and will not allow that anymore. So they can't use the church facilities because they don't align with the religious beliefs of that particular church anymore. So you see this constant drop. So what can the Boy Scouts do? Well, they think the most obvious thing is to allow girls into the Boy Scouts. They did that. Great. Okay, fine. You taken care of that. Maybe you're going to see a little increase in membership because the boys that are there, they can, you know, the parents can bring the girls there. If you can convince the girls to do that, we'll see what happens. But it still does not justify removing the boy, removing the male, removing the man from the name.
Well, in my opinion, what they just did was sign their own death note for the organization.
Yeah, like the Boy Scouts is going away. It's going on.
It's done.
They could have gone full Trump and told the feminists to go fuck themselves. Instead, they decided to co-opt what the women wanted, and now they destroyed themselves.
Yeah, if they would have stayed true to their values, if they would have stayed true to all, I was going to say, I was talking about this with Pat as well. I will guarantee you that they will reduce or lessen the needs and the prerequisites to get like merit badges, and they will drop the requirements of certain things for girls, and they will compromise really the achievement side of being, like, say, an Eagle Scout or something like that. and they will. It's very similar to what's going on in the U.S. military, where we want women to be in. We're only interested in equality of outcome, so we want to reduce the ability or reduce the requirements for women to take active combat roles. Well, that they don't care if they're going to endanger the lives of other men. They're just going to do that because they want to see equality of outcome. Well,
here's a question.
The same thing in the Boy Scouts.
Here's a question, gentlemen. How long until these co-ed, Boy Scout, Girl Scout, all in the new Scout Book program, before they start fucking at 15 years old and stuff? Before it was an all male, it was an all male space. Now it's not. Now they're going to start fucking. Teen pregnancy, false rape accusations, all that shit now is on film. Coming down the line.
Oh man, the first Me Too Boy Scout. Holy shit, that's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, that's weeks or months away. That's weeks or months away at this point. Teen pregnancy, that shit.
I was.
Oh my god, I haven't thought about that.
I was just talking about that with Goldman just before we came on. I was like, you know what? One of the reasons that we want this inclusivity, or we want these, we want to make it so that men are forced to go into co-ed groupings and co-ed situations while women can have their own sexual exclusive organizations. Well, men cannot. One of the reasons for that is because exactly what you said. It puts the opportunity to keep men under control. I said this in my male space post. They want overseers in the locker room. They want a woman to be there to make sure that the boys aren't boys. They want to make sure that there is some supervision in that boys club. Otherwise would be a boys club. They want that female supervision in there, so there isn't any wrong think. They don't want them to think anything. And then also just what you're saying, there's an opportunity to exploit the guys who would try to find some sort of power in that, or find some sort of authority in that. So there's always, like I said, holding the sword of Damocles is Me Too now.
Yep,
it really is.
I got your Girl Scout cookies right here.
Yeah. Hey, do we want to get to some questions?
I'm serious, man. That's really going to be a problem. You're going to have Boy Scouts fucking Girl Scouts, and all of a sudden we got 12 and 13. Oh, how could this happen? You fucking bitches wanted to make girls boys and boys girls, so that's what happens.
I just got a question over text from one of the viewers who texted in a question. He said, I've recently noticed particularly how there are way more male feminists than female supporters of masculine men.
Oh, yeah.
I've also seen a lot of women claiming men can't advise on women's issues because they don't get it. But I'll try to do the same with male spaces. So it's the standard doublespeak, of course. His question is, how much of this would be attributed to the points made in Rollo's empathy essay, where men are more likely to sympathize with another's blight and attempt to aid in its fight, whereas the solipsistic nature of females tends to dismiss other people's issues?
Listen, that's pussy. The reason why there are male feminists is because male feminists think that by becoming a male feminist that they are going to get pussy, and it never works out that way.
Well, this is very specific to Rollo's empathy essay too.
Beta game is what that is.
Well, that's the source of the empathy. Yeah, self-serving empathy.
You have to separate the difference between sympathy and empathy. Okay, it's one thing to be sympathetic. I can be sympathetic to, I can be sympathetic with a dog. Okay, I can be sympathetic with people. I can sort of be there and sort of sympathize with them. But I can't feel their actual pain, and that's really what empathy is you have a shared experience. There's a qualitative difference between sympathy and empathy, and I don't think that most people really understand the difference between the two. Empathy is something that we presume that women have some supernatural ability for. Yes and no. They can be, and we like to think that they have this because, like we were talking about before, women have sort of natural predispositions. And one of those is a better ability to communicate and to understand subcommunications and to interact. Remember, like I said, they're more invested and interested in people, whereas men are more interested in things. So because of that, we think that, well, men, they're not empathetic. No, you can be empathetic as well, but we think of women as being more empathetic than men because they're mothers and because they have to have that nurturing aspect of them. I will tell you right now that just because men don't have that predisposition does not necessarily mean that they aren't, empathetic people to begin with. So I think that needs to be cleared out up first. The other thing is that women are only empathetic with people who deserve their empathy and who are in some way integral to their own solipsism. So they'll be empathetic with their kids because their kids are an extension of themselves, where it's like a wife and a mother will be much more empathetic with her children than she would be with a guy, with the husband, because that guy needs to toughen up. That guy needs to provide security. And if she's too busy consoling him or being empathetic with that guy, that is a hit against his competency. And women are always looking for competent men. It's a DNA evolved aspect of women. They seek a universal competency in men. And if a guy needs empathy, if the guy is vulnerability is not a strength. That is the definition of vulnerability is that it is weakness. And you can go into your transvaluation bullshit all you want. The fact of the matter is vulnerability is a weakness. And if you think that vulnerability is something that's going to endear you to your wife, the only reason that could possibly happen is if she already sees you as a super strong alpha guy whose nature it is not to be vulnerable. So when he is vulnerable, then she appreciates that. And again, this also goes back to what we were talking about before, when we have women want to figure you out. They want to think that their instinct is what's figuring you out.
It sounds like psychological candy to them is what it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly is what it is.
That's what we call chick crack. Yeah, chick crack. Catnip. Yeah, there you go.
Catnip.
So we have 2 questions here from Randomism, Rule Zero Dad. I've seen him on the Red Pill subreddit. His first question from Rule Zero Dad for the whole panel: I see the majority of inaction for men being based on a fear of rejection. How should a man new to the red pill or game push through the self-sabotage and thinness of skin to gain abundance mentality? P.S. Self-improvement is masturbation.
Best thing I've seen. Oh, go.
Oh, I was going to say, this is, I think Carlos alluded to this earlier. It's blunt force trauma. The way to conquer any fear is to meet that fear head on. If you're afraid of heights, go skydiving 10 times. Okay. If you're afraid of approaching women, listen, you're going to have to do it until you don't feel that anxiety anymore. I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Bloodsport. The worst actor in movie history, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Careful now.
Don't forget the feminists. Don't forget the feminists, man.
Well, there you go. But I remember his opponent, Tiger Tong Po, was kicking a palm tree with his shin. And one of the guys says, why is he doing that? Doesn't that hurt? And he says, no, he does that to deaden the nerves and to make his leg numb so he can throw that shin at the side of somebody's head with impunity, with bad intentions. This is what you have to do. And I've been through this phase. Cutting through approach anxiety, it is not easy. It's the same as building your body up. You have to put stress on the body to build the body up. So if you want to kill approach anxiety, you got to put stress on the mind's body. Approach as many girls as you can, dude. Get rejected as many times as you can. And before long, man, it's not gonna be a big deal. Going up and talking to pretty girls just for the hell of it because you want to fuck them, it's not going to be a second thought because, oh well, I've been rejected like that 5 different times.
Ryan?
I like Carlo's answer on this, but I'll have a slightly different one. I don't think I've actually mentioned it before. What worked for me was a hectic sailing schedule. So when we would sail about 180, 190 days a year. So that's half the year. We were out 2 weeks, in for 2 weeks, out for 3 months, in for a weekend, that kind of thing. And it's pretty much impossible to give a fuck about rejection when like 7 o'clock the next morning we got sail alerts to head out to San Francisco or something. So I don't know how to give that advice to somebody who's on a STEM job somewhere, working and sleeping in his bed every night. But if you can find a way to be so busy that your amount of time playing pickup is really constrained, I find that really works because then rejection isn't a factor. Time is a factor. So if you can find a way to make some other part of the equation the bottleneck and not the rejection part, I think that would go a long way.
I think your passions need to become the other woman. Your hobbies, your interests, your ambitions, that needs to become the other woman. That needs to become something that a woman needs to compete against.
And Rollo, another way of saying that your passions become your legitimate number one priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the thing. For a guy who doesn't have any, I don't know if he knows entirely what that means. And so that's why I want to make sure, like, if you're busy to the point that, okay, I can go out tonight, but I got to be back. I have 2 hours.
Yeah, you're acting with a sense of urgency.
Yeah, 2 hours is no longer a rejection window. That's a window where if she rejects you, you're like, all right, I got to go. I've got like an hour and a half left. I've had sex with girls where I was watching the clock because I had a duty watch in like an hour and a half, and I'm calculating like the distance I had to get back to work. And like,
well, it's like what was it, like the 3-second rule? If you don't hit on the girl in 3 seconds, don't do it. Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
Listen. There's always that seminal moment when you make eye contact with a girl and you hold that eye contact for 2 to 3 seconds, dude. You must approach her right away, because if you don't, you've already failed a shit test that she didn't deploy. I'm attracted to him and he's attracted to me, but he doesn't have the balls to come over and talk to me. Next guy.
Well, you probably put your behavior in the class of men she doesn't fuck.
I'll let Carl go. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I think one of the major problems we have is that men are not accustomed to pain anymore. It's one of the interesting things I discovered when I was reading through all these different rituals of how boys became men in various societies. Is like the Spartans threw them into a cliffside, and you have to survive out here for about a week. Will be dead or not in give or take 10 days. Some tribe in South America, they put them out in the middle of an ant hill, and they're basically eaten alive by ants for an entire night. And I think most men have never actually put themselves into a situation where they're uncomfortable. Well, really uncomfortable. I mean, we say about women all the time that women are never uncomfortable. They're the most pampered they've ever been, but so are the fucking men. I mean, most of the guys I meet, and especially guys in STEM, they have extremely soft hands. Let's put it like that. They've never done anything that was
soft hands.
They've never done anything that was physically challenging. They've challenged their minds to sometimes goals, but they're just completely disconnected from physical reality.
Yeah, there's no more rites of passage anymore, right? Like I remember, I think I talked about this. I think I had Rollo on, where down in some South American country, to become a man, you had to put your hand in the sleeve of bullet ants. You had to do this 20 times, like over a 40-day period. There's no rite of passage anymore, and so boys are going out into the world being, completely afraid to do much of anything. So when they see a girl they're attracted to, they're like, eh.
Well, we also what else do we do though? I mean, we accuse guys who we accuse them of extending their adolescence if they're still like these boy men when they're 28 or 29, 30 years old, if they haven't prepared themselves to be the perfect husband and wife and this perfect beta provider by the time a woman is hitting her epiphany phase and she's done with the party. She's following the Sandbergian form of hypergamy, where she's done dating all of her bad boys and commitment phobic boys, and now she wants the stable, nice guy who's still going to be her equal, of course, right? And
sure,
those guys they've never gone through that rite of manhood. They're uncomfortable calling themselves a man, like even referring to themselves as a man. And I think that it's interesting because we've erased all of these rites of passage, but in a sense, we have given the authority of manhood, like bestowing manhood on a man, to women. And so the better you are at being this perfect servant, and the better you are at supplicating, and the better you are at putting women on a pedestal, that qualifies you to be called a man by women. And I think we've replaced this old ritualistic, rites of passage to go, like a bar mitzvah or something like that. We've replaced all of that to, with this uncertainty and this blurring of what masculinity really is. And it's all subjective, but yet still we hand off the ability to be called a man to women right now. And the only way that you can be called a man is if you do what they say, is if you fulfill their hypergamy, if you fulfill their sexual strategy, if you fulfill their life strategy, and you're in the right guy at the right time, then maybe you can be called a man. And they'll even laugh at you if you call yourself a man, as it is. But we've given them that authority. And I really think that we need to take that back. We really want, I think even Hunter is doing this right now and Hunter and Craig James are doing this with, they're these challenges and stuff. And in a way, it's kind of like, it's kind of schmaltzy, but then in another way, I understand it and I get it, because you need to, as a man, put yourself into these difficult situations, because most kids these days don't even know how to change a fucking tire.
Well, what
Right.
you're saying too is exactly in line with Jack Donovan's thinking from The Way of Men and books like that.
And starting his own tribe. And people think
Yeah.
that's weird, or he's a white supremacist, or there's something really wrong with this guy. He's this, this Satanist tribalist guy. And it's like, yeah, but look what he's doing. What is his actions? What is he doing?
Bro, I'm gonna ping this one off you. I'm kind of curious too. I was thinking about, you were talking about the hardship and we don't have it anymore. Think about the current, like the bad boy alpha males, the rock star ripping up his 20s, the thug. Those guys are seen as like a good alpha specimen now. I wonder if that is being used as a proxy for what you guys would think of as like a positive rite of passage.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, when you talk to guys who are like thugs from the hood, they don't exactly say like, I take cold showers. They have hard lives.
Yeah, well,
they are living that Corey Worthington lifestyle. Yeah, out of necessity.
Out of necessity.
Ed Lattimore's written about this too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me being crazy, but I can see kind of a connection there with the lack of a rite of passage for a positive beta male to find a way to get his alpha qualities up. But for the degenerate type of alpha male, opportunities have never been further.
Right. And if you try to take that back, they call you insecure in your manhood. You'll notice that they will do every the post. Yeah, the post.
Yes, you live with your mom.
Yeah, you live with your mom. Oh, who hurt you? Who hurt you?
Who hurt you?
Yeah, who hurt you? But it's like, if you try to take that back, just me suggesting we need to take that back. Just me saying, you know what, we need to have some sort of ritual. We need to have. I think honestly, and I've suggested this on my own site, is that I think that once you become red pill aware, there needs to be a rite of passage. There needs to be a point of demarcation between your old blue pill life and you becoming red pill aware and going your own way, but doing something different with a new knowledge of, cutting yourself away from that old blue pill conditioning. And
I have an idea.
Your own mental point of order.
Listen, I have an idea. I have an idea. You strap a bomb to him, right? Give him 12 hours, drop him in Las Vegas. Say you got 12 hours to get laid or you're going bye-bye.
Yeah.
I was going to
suggest what they want with the incels.
I was going to suggest they just attend the 21 convention rather than get blown up, but
okay, that's a better idea.
Well, I mean,
I'm a little biased, but
But then look at it this way too. It's like we teach kids these days. I mean, we're women in the what I call the village has to get to these boys younger and younger and younger. Another reason why the Boy Scouts is no longer the Boy Scouts anymore. They're the Soy Scouts. But the thing is that we've taught boys. Well, actually, we haven't taught boys about conventional masculinity to the point that anything that would sound like a ritual, that would sound like a rite of passage, would be indistinguishable from hazing or from bullying.
There you go.
So everything's going to seem like that. Anything I could suggest where it's like you got to toughen up and you got to take a hit in the chest, or there's hazing rituals in the military, in fraternities, in God knows what other all males. The all males that are still left.
Hazing has a negative connotation. If we called these things a rite of passage, well, yeah, that's what it's called now. They used to be called a rite of passage, but because the Alpha Psi fraternity, stuck a paddle up some kid's ass, he went, and somebody ends up getting killed because he was too drunk. Now hazing is a problem.
And that's
let me posit this to you, all of you guys, actually. So we're talking about we need the rite of passages back, the positive masculinity. The idea that, and then you say a lot, Rolo, where it's the girls say, oh, you're just faking it, and you're basically, there's like a permissive element there that's missing. Consider, let's go back to like the thug. He basically takes his masculinity and he dares you to stop him.
There you go.
I think that is a much better long-term solution, if only because over the last 30 years, it's clearly shown to be superior to the other method of creating strong men in good organizations. They just end up putting girls in Boy Scouts instead. So I don't want to suggest everybody starts dealing drugs, but taking more of that, I think, is probably going to be a better approach.
I think
which
that
kind of puts the onus on the 20-year-old guy who has to take it for himself, which sucks for him because he didn't get anybody to help.
Guess what? That's necessary.
I hear what you're saying, but I think that the idea of the natural guy, the alpha dude, that guy doesn't think about it. He doesn't think, I'm going to do this because I need to prove my masculinity.
That is true.
Does it? It's just there's not even an afterthought. That's why I always say, and people get upset with me about this, but that's why I said Corey Worthington, that guy, that kid who used to be, the alpha Buddha, not anymore, but back in the day, he was this unfiltered, unadulterated alpha guy, and all of his responses to, you know, to anything really, but certainly to the chick in Australia who was interviewing him, were just these natural alpha response, reflexive responses that you would expect from a guy who is masculine and alpha without an afterthought. He's not thinking, how can I be more alpha with this bitch?
No, it's instinct, just like you said.
So it's a question though, how do you organize, I guess, a training school, for lack of a better term, because the Boy Scouts won't be doing it anymore.
Oh, hell no.
Colleges won't be doing it.
Listen, the only good thing about bringing girls to Boy Scouts are the fucking cookies. That's it. That's it.
I love those cookies. They're fucking awesome.
I'll say this.
Dude, listen, they're the reason I got fat, man. I'm just keeping it real.
Ryan, I don't know exactly how far I can take 21 Studios. I hope to make it $1 billion company someday. But at the end of the day, men like us will have to do it. That's it.
Yeah,
Boy Scouts
I agree.
aren't gonna do it.
I agree. Yeah. Listen, our fathers aren't even going to do it, right? Like, dude, dads. I mean, no one's. It's on us. Like, this is what's going to happen. We damn sure can't rely on the government or feminists to do it. Yeah,
I am not counting on baby boomers to fix my generation. We have to do it ourselves, and that's
I'm
it.
just going to throw this one out there because I've seen this happen, and unfortunately, I think it was with the Good Man Project, but they get these guys together for a weekend or some shit like that. Yeah. And they think that if they're going camping and they're all just like singing Kumbaya around a fireside or some shit like that, that they are, like I said,
hair on their
chest. Their new. I mean, of course,
what a wonderful testicular cancer meeting.
Everything they do is just pandering. Everything they do is just pandering to feminine imperative.
Make s'mores.
Think that by doing that, I really think you need to be careful of that kind of shit.
100%. It's okay, Cornelius. You can cry now.
Well, Athol K's assimilation from his married man sex life into its de-evolution into crap is another good example of that. That's more digital thing.
I'm glad you brought up Athol because I'm just going to make a quick hit announcement here. Athol K, I think his MMSL is gone. The forum is now gone. His blog is now gone as well. And I have in my inbox, I've got like some friends who used to follow him quite a bit because a lot of these guys sort of abandon his blog and his forum to come over and follow my stuff. And I'm pretty sure I've seen the email of this, but he is in arrears on his house right now.
Oh shit!
Because he's behind on his mortgage, or he's going into foreclosure because I think he decided he wanted to make a full-time gig out of Married Man Sex Life and the books and all that stuff, and then made the mistake of allowing women into his mail space and allowing them to define the terms of what his message was going to be. Decided that he wanted to be a life coach, very much a purple pill life coach, and allow not only his own wife to be part of that coaching team.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Another woman and another husband, her husband as well, who were like psychologists of some sorts, and they were part of it. And I understand that their heart was in the right place, but it's like,
listen, this is why you have to double down, man. When the feminists come after you, no, fuck it. If you don't pee standing up, you're not allowed. Right?
Like that's not that angry feminist. It's that very sweet woman that you've been married to, or like the devil comes in a nice soup.
Fucking hell, man.
Yep.
You know, I was gonna save this for off the air, but I think I'm just gonna do this publicly. I understand what you're saying, and I do not think that I don't believe in red pill women. I'll be saying
hell no! I don't believe in red pill women either, dude.
I think that the manosphere and the red pill is itself a male space. Okay, and I do understand that it's interesting to me how it's usually just traditional tradcon women who want to become involved in it. I'm not saying that women don't have their uses in the red pill community; they do, but as examples and as illustrations, and to see how ideas and theories bounce off of them, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a woman who's going to say not all women are like that, and it's always going to come back to the same
muddying the waters until it's of no use whatsoever.
Check this.
Donovan, go. Yep. Yeah,
listen, dude, my girl is on red pill women all the time. I mean, all the time, and she spits. And again, the hilarity that ensues. I mean, these girls they're absolutely clueless. Here's the bottom line. They want to be called red pill women without actually doing what's necessary to be a red pill woman. There's no such thing as a red pill woman, gentlemen. Only a woman who is led by a red pill man, because as soon as that red pill man no longer has possession of her, guess what? She's going back to her regular feminist way. She's going back to her regular imperative, which is self-destruction. Women cannot be trusted to their own devices. So you go to red pill women and you hear them copy what we say. Don't listen to what he says. Watch what he does. No, bitch, it doesn't apply there. Should I be concerned about my boyfriend's notch count? No, you're not concerned about your boyfriend's notch count. That turns you on that he has fucked. Dude, it turns you on that he's fucked 168 girls. It doesn't turn him on that you fucked 168 guys. It's so funny how they think. The bottom line with red pill women, and there's so much to get into, but I don't want to be on here for 4 hours. They operate under the idea that attraction is symmetrical. And anytime anybody goes on there and suggests that attraction between men and women and vice versa is not exactly symmetrical, they lose their shit. If you tell them no, if a girl goes on there and says you have to give them access to your phone, oh dude, they get banned. Oh my god, like, oh yeah, I can't believe you have to give up all autonomy. You want to be a red pill woman? You got to do red pill woman things. It's an abject disaster. There's no such thing as a red pill woman. They just want in on the fun. That's all this is.
What came to mind when you guys brought this up is that, to my knowledge, there's no such thing as red pill women. I agree with this. At the same time, if you look at the manosphere, and if you look particularly at the red pill community, 300,000 or whatever it is now, and all the blogs and all people who follow them, there's not a single woman that I know of who is full-throated red pill like we are, who will put her face to these ideas. Not one. We're all here, except Carl is, playing smart, doing the VPN route. But the rest of us here are, our faces and our identity are fully backing up exactly what we're saying. And as many as there might be on Twitter trying to pretend they're red pill women and all this, the ones
that was actually one of the reasons that I wanted to bring this up, is because there is, you guys are probably familiar with her. She goes by Dr. Babe or Dr. Babela.
Oh yeah.
And she
Kitten Holiday.
I was thinking, Kitten Holiday is, Kitten is,
get the fuck out of here.
Kitten's TradCon, and there's not
No.
much else.
Kitten's a slut, right? Her name is Kitten, right? She's got a porn star name, starring Mark West and Kitten Holiday. She sounds like she does anal gangbangs. Get out of here with that.
She is what she is. But I was just going to say is like I was considering maybe doing some sort of debate with this Dr. Babela woman as an instructional sort of an example type thing, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it too. Like, if you really want to do it, we can do it, but I'm not sold on it either.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it going to go anywhere productive? Carl?
Listen,
we used to have a couple regulars that said red pill.
There was a
Donovan, let's get Carl.
Oh yeah, you're good.
No, I was just going to say that having the debate with a woman, if there is such a thing as a red pill woman, actually acknowledges that there is a debate to be had, and there's really no debate about it, because if you look at I actually read red pill women a while back too, because I was going through that and I was reading married red pill, and I was trying to, between Soloff doses, I decided to kind of think about it. And what they do is like Donovan said, they copy and do the exact same thing. So they take the same principles and apply it, but they don't really want to admit deep down that the facts of the red pill as required. They can never internalize it because it goes against their basic firmware. Like trying to install Windows on a Mac.
It's also, it feels like a threat to their reputation, which they're all reputation guarding all the time. So for her to fully endorse the red pill would be devastating, I think, to almost any woman, her social reputation.
Well, I think that they see it really as a niche sexual marketplace for themselves. And they think that if they've got the attention of these guys who are so focused
100%.
on self-improvement, they want to get in on those guys. They want these, especially if they've already passed the wall, and especially if they're already, I would say probably 9 if not all, 9 out of 10, if not all women who are quote unquote red pill women are post-wall women. They're looking for the guy who is past. You don't see any red pill women who are in their sexual peak. They're not 22.
I'm 23 years old and I've got size D boobs. I'm a red pill woman.
No motivation for that whatsoever. You will say if any woman who claims to be red pill in some way is either married and wants her husband to become more red pill, or she is a post-wall woman looking for baby daddies.
Yep.
Check this out. There is a woman, and I'll put her name out there. I don't even know if she's even on there anymore. She was on Twitter. She used to be one of the mods, I think, on Red Pill Wives. Her name was Iris and Oleander. I don't know what the hell that was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
I remember her. Yeah.
Yes, sir, dude. She has sent me pictures. Now, nothing like nude or crude or anything like that, but she asked me if I knew a specific person in the manosphere, and I was like, well, why? Well, I need to know if I can trust you. I'm like, well, trust me with what? She's like 5'3" fat. The point is that she's on married red pill women or whatever the hell it is, red pill wives. This is a mod. She is sending me pictures. This was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, sending me pictures while her husband is at work. And there is at least one other guy that she sends pictures to. This is what your red pill women are. This is what they are. Iris and Oleander. And I don't know, she recently had a baby, and I'm thinking to myself, well, does it belong to her husband's or maybe somebody else? I don't know. Hashtag DNA test. Hashtag Maury. Hashtag you're the father.
So the dating environment is a shit show. What else is new? It's complete clusterfuck in the 21st century. We need to fix it somehow.
Unbelievable.
For our sons, at least.
Okay, well, then that means there are 3 people that I know of that she has sent pictures to.
Oh, we have some private chat going here. But holy shit, everyone's dropping in and out. It's a fucking war zone in the group chat, apparently.
Are we back live?
No, you're live. Me, you, and Ryan's probably coming back. Just Rolo.
Drop it off. All right.
It's mostly just Rolo and Ryan. I don't know why that is.
Booted big time. Yeah, there now he goes. See.
Carl, I don't think you've dropped once, and obviously
nope, I haven't dropped.
Dude, it's the mods. It's the YouTube mods.
Yeah, they don't want any of the towers.
Silencing you.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't been kicked off yet. The YouTube mods are like, wait a minute, Donovan's on YouTube? Oh, sweat his house.
Is my wife red pill? No. Yes and no. I mean, she is in the sense that she is predictable.
She wants to keep you. She will be.
Yeah, exactly.
It can't be anything but red pills and surrounding them.
Yeah, yes and no. Only because obviously I've written 3 books, and I'm one of the, I'm furniture in the manosphere these days. But so obviously she understands all this stuff. Is she red pill? It all depends on what you mean by red pill. Is she red pill aware? Yeah, she is. Is she on forums and sites and everything looking for dick? No.
Well, let's think about it this way, though. Even anonymously speaking, is there a single red pill blog by a woman that's legitimately full-throated red pill?
Yes. It is called Notes from a Red Pill Girl.
Really?
It is called Notes from a Red Pill Girl. This woman, and she's very she like no one knows who she is. She puts out a blog post, I don't know, maybe once every 2 weeks. And there's also another one, Judgy Bitch. I think you guys know who she is.
I've heard of Judgy Bitch.
Yeah, Judgy Bitch. So those are probably
I would disagree with Judgy Bitch only because, and I like her and I understand why you think so.
Okay. Is there something developing that I don't know, or?
Well, no, I mean, like her and Karen Strawn and a lot of these women who associated themselves with MRAs really just sort of did that so they could springboard their own, internet notoriety.
There you go. Okay, you know what? Now I would agree with that because here's the qualification of what Anthony would call a full-throated red pill woman online. If you really are a 100% red pill woman, I don't know what you look like. I don't know what your name looks like. And you're just doing it again. The only one that qualifies for me is Notes from a Red Pill Girl. I have no idea what this chick looks like. There's no advertisements on there. She's not doing it for attention.
Serious question though. Are we certain it's a woman writing it?
Yeah. I don't know. That's, that could be a good question.
I just discovered this now, so I'm looking at it.
Yeah, listen, dude, she keeps it 100, man. And dude, listen, my girlfriend's been reading her for a year and a half, 2 years now. And I'll read the stuff. I'm like, wow, this woman really does, she cuts to the heart of these issues. And again, this is another difference between men and women. The reason why men digest the red pill a little bit better than women digest the red pill is because we as men, we can acknowledge our faults. We can acknowledge our frailties. We understand that we have to tear it down to build it up. But what Anthony said, women are only interested in guarding their reputations, rightfully so, because that's really all they've got at the end of the day. But that's one of the differences between men and women. Women don't want to really acknowledge that in the absence of a red pill man, they're a shit show. They are self-destructive.
And what this means, though, is that truth is being deprioritized from social reputation.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's
so
exactly
from Notes from a Red Pill Girl. I am a divorced mom in her early 40s who has a great education, a successful career, and all the things considered a good life. But there's something missing, a relationship, and I'm not happy. That totally makes sense. There was
See,
another
exactly.
one.
She understands.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, she understands it because she's had to. There was another girl,
And she acknowledges
Darla.
it.
She's on Reddit, and she did the same thing. She got divorced because her husband said, "You know what? Fuck it, hypergamy. Let's do it." He stopped working, and she had a good job, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? Divorce me?" She pays him alimony, and that red pills her right quick. And I think it's that same kind of story here. In fact, if it's the same girl, I really hope I don't out her.
Most
Listen,
women don't
this woman
go-
just acknowledged, hey, I'm 42 years old. I'm a single mom. I'm divorced, and I'm lonely. I'm not happy. That's a red pill woman, man.
That's the equivalent of a guy who gets thrown out.
It's exactly the profile I just said.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly
And
right.
I was also going to say is that when you look at men from a red pill perspective, we branch out into different things. There's there's guys like Hunter and Craig James, and then there's guys like Christian McQueen, and then there's guys like Tate, and then there's like guys like me or whatever. There's a broad selection, I guess. Guys take the red pill and they sort of compartmentalize it and turn it into.
There are
what
different
works
sects
best
of the
for
red
them.
pill.
And then eventually you get these guys who are all about self-improvement. Okay, great. I have yet to see a group of women who are as dedicated to self-improvement as I have seen in the red pill communities. Now, what I would say is if you really want to, if you think you're a red pill woman, you think I'm misaligning you right here, show me the group of red pill women where you are all getting together and trying to, improve yourselves and be better women for men. Because today I see nothing from the earliest ages in every freaking Disney movie. If you do anything whatsoever for a man, for his pleasure, to better, make yourself better so that you can get a better dude, so that you can. So exactly, that is nothing but supplication. It is not. It goes counter to everything that the strong, independent woman narrative teaches girls.
They even have social conventions for it, like internalized patriarchy and internalized misogyny.
They will go against. Yeah, they'll gather to say, how can we not do this? But they won't gather together to. There's no self-improvement groups for women that to cater to the better pleasures of men.
Let's clarify what you just said. Women literally get together to shut down any organized self-improvement for women. Yeah. That's how fucked up modern feminism has become and the feminist empire.
It's the same thing as like when a woman says, well, I'm losing weight for me. No, bitch, you're losing weight so that you can increase the number of dicks on your carousel ride. Like, listen, look, keep it real. I tell people all the time, man, the reason I lift and stay in shape is so that my girl still wants to fuck me. I mean, maybe doing it for my health. Okay, that's a welcome side effect. But we all lift weights and get in shape to get laid, to expand our potential pool of suitors.
Carl?
Well, I think the thing with the women is, when it comes to self-improvement, is self-improvement comes from recognizing that you have to do something active to get better. I wrote a post ages ago called The Female Sexual Strategies, where I broke down women into this huge chart of different actions they take to do better. And one of the things I noticed with it is women rarely better themselves in any way that requires dedication and consistency. Like a guy who cleans up his diet and lifts 3 times a week for 5 years to get built, that requires a monumental amount of effort. Women get Spanx, they get makeup, they get new haircuts, they get fatter friends. They don't lose weight.
Damn.
Brutal.
Dude, your friends are fat. Damn.
Makes you look thinner.
No, but the good thing with it is, I mentioned it in the last podcast too, but there's this train wreck I've been watching, because once I see train wrecks, I can't stop watching, called the body positivity movement. Now, this started out as, people who have had a leg blown off, or people who had acid thrown in their face to try and not make them feel good about themselves, which I think is a good thing. It's basically turned into, if you go look it up on Instagram, but get some eye bleach, because you basically have 300, 400, 500-pound women in lingerie demanding that, talking about how men are internally sexist for not wanting to sleep with them, and men actually want these bigger women, but they're just scared of social judgment. So their entire shtick is to work away the social judgment for being basically a chubby chaser.
So is that what it means when 3 of your buddies make fun of you for half an hour? Social judgment? Fair enough. I guess
You
those
fucking
just
a
like
fat
getting
girl.
smaller and smaller. Yeah, exactly. It's a gentle ribbing. It's a roasting.
It's
That's it.
necessary. Dude,
I'm
why
guessing
are
I'm
you
not the only one that doesn't like fat women, right? Does anyone here like fat women? I'm not into
I
it
do
at all.
not.
I think it's gross.
Listen, fat women cook. Fat women tend to cook really well, right?
Maybe.
I've only fucked one, and that was because it was my boss, and I just wanted to have the bragging rights to say that. And then her boss high-fived me.
All right.
Yeah, it's a long. Keep going. Do your thing.
You know, with that body positivity thing, it's funny how feminists and really the entire culture, they like to tie in things like with the body positivity movement, right? Okay, so you've got Vietnam veterans who've gotten a leg blown off or somebody acid getting thrown in their face. Guess what? These were things that were outside of their control. Girls are fat because they're lazy and they're fat because they can't stop eating and they're too lazy to exercise. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to marry fat girls who have control over their fatness with the war veteran who got his arm blown off, or someone who has an injury that was inflicted on them by another person. This is why girls are not really encouraged to lose weight, because they think, oh, I'm body positively, oh, my goiter, or oh, my thyroid. Bitch, please. Dude, my girlfriend doesn't have a thyroid, and she is far from fat.
I goiter.
Yeah, dude, that's what my ex-wife used to tell me. I've got a goiter problem. Whatever. You weren't that fat when I fucking married you, bitch.
Yeah, I just saw on Twitter there. I don't know who did the campaign, but once again they're trying to run a counter campaign to the Protein World ads that have been going on.
Oh yes!
Oh yeah!
I wrote
this
about
is what
that.
a beach body looks like. I wrote an article in Return to Kings about that.
I wrote about that. I did a counter argument write up about that 3 years ago, and I'm like, and I called it obesity culture. And really, that's exactly what you're talking about here is obesity culture. It's like women who want to, I mean, you think about, again, we're going to talk about latent purposes again. Why would that be a latent purpose? Why would women want men? Because of, they have to sort it out for themselves that beauty is a social construct. And if it's a social construct, then fat women should be just as beautiful as someone like Renee Summerfield, who was a model that was in the Protein World ads, right? And it's like, well, first of all, from an evolved perspective, that's complete bullshit. But what it is it's a conflict between the social constructionist argument and the evolved realities of what really turns a guy on. It's not that big, giant land whale. Yeah. And so
all that fat on the inside.
What they're saying is like, if you don't accept me, then you have to accept, if you don't accept me, or if I can't convince guys are socially conditioned to want that kind of girl, then it conflicts and it counters my idea about social constructionism. Okay. So and I'm not saying that they think this, logically figure it out in their heads, but really what it is it's going against fundamental beliefs that they don't even really honestly don't even know that they have, because maybe they picked it up somewhere along the way, saying, well, you can be 50 pounds overweight and you can still be beautiful. And
no, you can't.
Like, yeah,
no, you can't.
From an evolved perspective. And so, I say the same thing about guys when it comes to issues of looks. Okay, when we talk about looks, yes, looks count. Looks are important. Okay, I'm not saying that they're the be all end all. There's if that is your deficit, there's ways to compensate for that. But don't get into the mindset that these fat women are in right now, where you think that beauty is a social construct, because it is not a social construct, and you will be proven wrong every fucking time.
Yeah, I find it remarkable how women.
Go ahead. If you can go back to the incel thing a bit, though, because I think there's a lot of similarities between these, let's see, gravitationally challenged women and the incel movement. Because the incels are constantly going on about, well, game doesn't work because all it's about is looks, and it doesn't matter, how much game you have, what kind of cadence you have, how good your style is, how much, etc. So they've kind of built this wall where there's nothing they can do to improve their lot in life. And fact of the matter is, if a guy is 450 pounds, that guy is never going to get laid ever. But if a woman is 450 pounds, she can still get laid on occasion.
Well, you still have hookers and gold diggers, so it's still an option at that weight. But other than that,
around it. But
Carlos says, "Oh, good."
I was gonna say that the body positivity side of things really finds a parallel in that mentality of the manosphere, where it's if it's instead of being social constructionist, it is about pickup artistry. It is about, if you have more game, if you had the right amount of game, you could calibrate perfectly, it wouldn't matter if you're 400 pounds. Well, I think that might be a deficit that even game is not going to help you with. But here's the good news. The good news is you have direct control over of the way you look. Get to the fucking gym. Go work out. Go. I mean, even if I tell guys this all the time. I said, you know what is it? 68? I think it's 68% of the United States population is either overweight or obese.
Yep.
Okay. You can put yourself into that 30th percentile right there. You're already ahead of probably 70% of guys right there just by not being overweight, just by not being obese.
Just trying puts you at the top of the Pareto principle. It's fucked that you have to fight so hard to get people there. I'm
not saying that that's going to get you everything that your dreams are going to. You're going to get your dream.
Yeah, but it's a start.
You did that. But you know what? You have direct control over that, and you might not understand principles of game, and you might not know how to calibrate. And I'm not saying don't do that. Go out and do that too. But looks count. Looks are definitely important, and you have direct control over them.
Guys
use one of those areas like. Sorry, go ahead, Donovan.
I was just going to say, guys use, you have to have looks and money to get laid. They use that as an excuse to be lazy. They say, I don't look good. I don't have a lot of money, so I'm going to take myself. No. You're being fucking lazy, because there are a lot of other things that are under your direct control that could get you more laid than guys with looks and money. Girls do the same thing. Again, I bring up red pill women. They say, well, I'm not a 10. I'm not I'm not beautiful, so I may as well be a slut because I'm never going to meet I'm never going to meet a guy who's going to want to marry me. That's the lazy route. Listen, man, the thing is this, dude. What's hard for women and what's hard for men are two different things. It goes back to what Rolo says about men being the gatekeepers to commitment and women to sex. Getting laid on the regular by pretty girls is hard. Finding a man for women who want to marry you is hard. Doing what's hard, okay? Obviously, that's not going to be easy. So people are being lazy. Well, I'm not a 10, so I'm just going to continue to be a slut, which is easy. Guys say, well, I'm not rich and I'm not handsome, so I'm just going to take myself out of the market, which is easy and lazy.
Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to get in on is one of the things where I agree with Jordan Peterson and kind of piggybacking off what Rollo said is that small EC changes have a way of snowballing. So when Jordan Peterson says clean your room, he's saying do something that's easy to do and that makes your current living situation a little bit better. Then maybe once you clean your room, maybe you decide to actually learn how to cook a meal at home instead of eating everything at the Starbucks. Then once you start getting better nutrition, maybe you figure out, okay, I'll go take a walk. You take a walk, you walk past the gym, you say, okay, maybe I'll start lifting some weight. And that's how you get better. Nobody ever goes from total sexual market value of 1 to sexual market value of 10 overnight. It's a lot of small incremental changes consistently performed over time.
Persistence is
this is that CNN report. Well, I tried the red pill, it didn't work. Did you notice the guy was a fucking fat ass? Right? Yeah. Like the reason the red pill didn't work is because you're a fucking fat ass. Right? How many cheeseburgers did you eat during your red pill awakening?
Remember when Robert Fisher got his little hate mail thing from the Daily Bugle about being the red pill Reddit founder?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you looked at all those photos, they were there to emphasize his unattractive qualities. Yeah, had he been fit, that shit would have gone away. I guarantee it.
If they say you're a red pill loser, the first thing they do is they will go to your looks. They will
You're ugly.
Say, what are you about? Right? And now and just to sort of wrap my side of this thing up here, I constantly get into this argument. I got guys who are diehard pickup artists who say, no, man, it's all about behaviorism. It's all about learning the cues. It's all about learning the sub-communications, calibrating all the time. It's like this RSD, manifesto. And I get that. Okay. I understand the importance of game. And I honest to God, I do. But to say that at the exception of looks is incorrect in a big way.
But it's a great way to sell boot camps.
It is. And I also get the guys who say, nah, dude, There's this game is bullshit. Just go look at Tinder. Girls go for guys who have 6-pack abs and that's all they want. Yeah. If that's all they are presented with, if they are isolated
from an engine, you just need fuel.
Yeah. Look at what Tinder does. It isolates everything down to one thing, and that's looks.
And that's why guys say, well, it just only takes looks.
Yeah. So I've always said that, look, there's a balance. Looks count. What is it? Looks, affluence, and game. Have 2. Better to have 3, but if you can only have 1, game is the most important, because you need to be able to, that is the key to so much more that goes
because game is the only commodity that doesn't depreciate in value, right?
Yeah.
Game,
and then it's like they just don't get, like, I'll sit, like the argument I just had, or the point I was just making a few minutes ago about how you have direct control over your looks. Like, I mean, unless you are physically disformed, unless you have something that is really fucked up about you. And even still, I've seen guys who are fucked up with a big old facial scar who can still make themselves look really good.
Damn right.
And still do something with that. But you have direct control over that. You also have direct control over game too. But which one is the one that you can put yourself into most expediently? Which one is more pragmatic for you? And I will always say that going down to the gym, eating right, you have direct control over that every single day, and it doesn't depend on other people. So yes, game is important. Yes, money and affluence and success, yes, that's important as well. That is not the only thing. And if you have a deficit in one, you need to be able to compensate it in another area with something else.
With that said, we need to begin winding down, gentlemen. Wanted to thank each of you for joining on the show today, per usual. For those of you watching live and after the show, make sure you go in the video. Oh, we just had a super chat. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. We'll get to your question in the comments after that. As I was saying, though, thanks for watching live. Those of you watching on YouTube. In the future, we will get this on other platforms live, including Twitter and Facebook. Also, check the card in the recording of this video, and you actually go to iTunes and listen to the audio version of this. We do have an iTunes channel. It's in the card at the top right hand of the video. You'll see it like right up here once we get done with the live stream. Also, check the video description. Make sure to visit each of the guest links, the websites, and the Twitter accounts. That'll all be listed in the video description. Also, if you're new to the podcast and the show, make sure to subscribe to our channel, 21 Studios. Also, to catch the other episodes, subscribe to Entrepreneurs in Cars on YouTube. So subscribe to us at youtube.com/21 or do a search for Entrepreneurs in Cars, and you can catch all the episodes of the show that way very easily, as well as the recordings after the fact. We are going to do a raffle for a free 21 convention ticket to people who sign up for free to the VIP attendance list, for information. To get on that raffle and to get updates for upcoming events where you can actually meet me and these other speakers live this year in Florida, go to the 21convention.org. That's the 21convention.org. Link is in the video description. Early bird tickets and full speaking list and full details for the event this year, the 21 Convention 2018, all goes live May 17th, 2018. By joining that list, you will get the first access to early bird tickets. Seating is limited. We almost sold out last year at our 10-year anniversary, and we do expect to sell out this year because the speakers are off the fucking chain. Not just these guys, but all their buddies and everybody else. Some of which you guys have actually seen on the show. With that said, I'm going to close out the live stream. Gentlemen, thanks for joining. Any last words?
Thank you. Fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, it was
let's make sure we work on getting that the phone and the call-in thing going on.
That
really
too.
want to get that going on. So we got.
Wait, if we could, before we go off, the super chatter, he actually had a question. He said, I'm 24, learning to be a programmer and slightly above average in look and in shape because I box competitively. My personal hang-up is my height, as I am 5'7". How does my height affect my dating prospects? I don't have a profound answer because I just don't have the mental gymnastics like Rollo. Rollo's a brilliant guy, and Ryan puts things eloquently too. But I would point a movie out called, it was actually a book called Of Mice and Men. And if you can look it up, you don't have to read the book or watch the movie, but there's a big stupid fuck. His name is George. And then the other guy, I don't even know what the fuck, or the small guy's name is George. And then there's the big oaf, right? yeah, Lenny. I think that was his name. Anyway, if you watch that movie or read the book, who do you think the girl would want to fuck? Would she want to fuck Lenny? Would she want to fuck George or the big oaf Lenny? The point is that it is all in your attitude. It's all in your swagger. It doesn't matter. And I'm saying this true. And listen, you guys can say, well, Donovan, you're 6'1" and 235. Well, listen, okay, that does make a difference. But if if I didn't have the game, if I didn't have the confidence that I did, but a dude who boxes competitively, 5'7", were to run game on the same girl, guess what? She's fucking you every single time because you have the confidence. Okay, so you're 5'7", walk around like you're fucking 6'4", and you got a 13-inch cock, and girls will see you that way.
That's right.
Height is an evolved prerequisite for women. I mean, we can be honest. It's one of those things that yes, they are heightist. Almost every single woman.
Every one of them.
Ironically, women who are like super tall are the heightist because they're so used to towering over other guys that they tend not to be quite. It's not such a big deal to them. But I'm just going to leave you with this: if you are 5'7", go look up and do a Google search for this, or look for it on Twitter. But there is a height chart for Hollywood leading actors, and if you go and you look at somebody like George Clooney, or you look at
Tom Cruise is he's 5'2".
Tom Cruise, Robert Downey Jr. is 5'7". So go look up that chart, and go and you ask me, are these guys is height an issue for these guys? And I'll tell you right now, it's not. Go look up that chart; it will definitely give you some inspiration.
Hey, to close this out, I love big tits on girls, but I fuck girls with not big tits as well. And being tall is like having big tits, so it's all good.
Listen, girls are heightists. I'm a widthist.
Yeah, some guys are into the
I'm a thigh gapist.
Very niche market, very specific. All right, gentlemen, thanks for today's show. I'm gonna end the live stream. We could stay on privately. Everyone else, thanks for tuning in live. Visit us next week. Actually, next week we'll be on Richard Cooper's channel. After that, it'll be back here at youtube.com/21. Adios.